Tell you that stock music is an absolute banger. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
GM.
Yeah.
All right. As always, welcome to
we're doing.
Welcome to New Standards, this live stream format where we are underprepared and under-caffeinated at all fucking times. We've got alts, and today we got Vega Genesis. What's up, Vega?
Killing it, bro.
We were knocking on his virtual door while he was in bed. Mistimed a week. It's all good. All right.
Glad to be here. For
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Alts, man. Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. GM. It's I'm getting OG vibes here. Hanging with you guys this morning. It's good. I like it.
Pre-clone rug vibes. Like
yeah. Back when it still had potential. Yeah. Back in the day.
Before I lost a fuck ton of money. Yeah, great. That was awesome. So open today if you are fatality. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So we're just hanging out. Metaversal's telling us all to wake up because we look like we're zombies. I'm 2 cups of coffee in. I had to take a bathroom break already. We'll see how that goes over the course of the next hour and a half. Open topics here. I called it Tuesday, but really it could be crash outs and cash outs. We got that going all over the timeline right now. People freaking out and cashing out and then disappearing maybe. We got ETH Denver coming up. That's a cool topic. I just saw that Vega Jr.'s putting on a performance at the Story House. That's kind of cool. So I'd love to hear about that. And then also we got ETH Denver going on just in general. So, laid back Friday morning. If you want to participate, you can always hit the comments up. If you're in YouTube, we can interact with you through the comments, or we'll get them on the screen. If you're in X, we can get those comments on the screen in real time and kind of laugh at them and involve you in the show. As always, if you ever want to get involved with a live stream and you want to hop up, just send me a DM. We can get up to 10 people on the stage. Although in real time, that might be much harder to coordinate than I make it sound. So, but you can always hit me up with a DM. We love chatting. So I'm going to alter the screen a little bit because I don't like my background as much as I like Alts's. So we'll get that over there.
Mine matches the New Standards background. At least right now.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give a quick little plug. We got the New Standards Universal Profile. There's not much on here right now. It has 0 followers. And it's not following anyone. Super social, this profile here. But it's got the GIF emoji, and you can also, if you'd like to donate to New Standards to make this sustainable, because guess what? StreamYard is not cheap. That's what I'm going to tell you. Everybody thinks this shit's free. It is not. So, I mean, if you want to be kind, you can. If you don't want to be kind, well, fuck off. Either way, it's all good. Yeah, that's the quick little plug here at the beginning. Okay. So with just a complete open topic of conversation, Alts, you got anything you want to lead off today with?
I'm currently logging in, so I can give that account a follow right there. It's just I gotta get that number up 1 at least.
All right. I mean, I want to go hot to Vega, and I want to hear about what's going on with the performance.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few things I want to ask Vega about. So yeah, let's just jump into that first.
Are you awake, Vega?
Partially, mostly.
All right. So I guess that's like the number one question I have. What's going on with that performance at the Story House, man? That's kind of big for Junior there.
Yeah. So I'm cool with some of the Story guys. They have Meow Wolf rented out. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Meow Wolf, but they have like interactive kind of experiences in a couple different states. I've been to the one in Vegas, um, but yeah, they have that rented out, and the entire room will be projection mapped. So instead of
Sick.
using like the stage, it will be every wall and even the floor in the room. We designed a setting in UE5, so it would be Unreal Engine animation on every wall, like you're standing in the middle of it. So a couple songs, one of them's new, and that's on the 25th.
That's on the 25th. All right, here is the Luma event. That's over at Story House. You can see my full name there if you want to creep me, I guess. This is this is at Meow Wolf. You'd have to sign up. It looks like a bunch of product demos. Starts at 1. Do you know what time you're going on stage? Or I should say Junior's going on stage?
Sometime between 5 and 8 is all I know.
Sometime between 5 and 8.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss it. I want to get there. So
Yeah.
like
When,
it's like the
when I have
highlight
a
week.
when I have a better time frame, I'm sure I'll tweet about it.
All right, cool. Incredible opportunity, man.
Yeah. My goal was to just completely blow everybody else out the water. I don't know if they're really taking advantage of the full projection map. The 26th, they're hosting like Cerebro, who I have like personal like internal beef with that they probably don't know about. So the goal was to just do better than them.
Oh,
Yeah. True story.
true story. No lies. Yeah. I mean, to get a full room that's projection mapped, I mean, 1, not cheap. 2, you don't get those opportunities very often. So this is like a great opportunity to knock this thing out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like trying to digest what this could even look like on the inside. I've never been in a projection map venue like that. So like just experience alone, that's going to be pretty epic.
It's gonna be pretty tight, man. And that's kind of where I'm going with things is we've done the holograms before, but after seeing what is it, Anima at the Sphere in Vegas, I
Yeah.
think, it kind of opens the door for like IRL, like Travis Scott Fortnite concert,
Oh, shit.
because 15 million people attended that, but to kind of bring that experience to more IRL is, I think people are needing that or wanting that. And when we talk about like digital characters like Junior, it kind of just seems like the natural, next step of things. So, yeah.
Oh, hot damn. Jack says you're going to slay the full projection map room experience, Vega. It's excited as fuck for you and your team.
Shout out to the boy.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Well,
Now-
I love that things are kind of evolving to blending Web 2 and Web 3, but also on the IRL side as well, not just on the digital front. Yeah, that's pretty damn cool. I can see that things like with AR and VR just continuing to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a situation, although it's well established that Alt and I like LUKSO, this is Story is also doing cool shit. And we're more I guess ultimately I'm on the side of the boundary pusher, period. Right. So in this case, Vegas pushing boundaries. I don't care what it's involved with. Like, I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna support that shit. So
Hell yeah.
like from day one, you've been pushing boundaries with this. I mean, from watching Junior absolutely fuck shit up in Grand Theft Auto. So, I mean, honestly, like last year with Streamgate, I think I listened to Junior's freestyle about 1 billion times. I might
Yeah.
put it on replay overnight, but I definitely listened to it as well in my like most listened to Spotify. I don't even know what they call that at the end of the year. Like that was the #1 track.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that listen to earn period was very, very cool.
Still coming through, just not as fast as we wanted.
Nothing is. Yeah.
So actually, that's a question. I mean, I know Ava is going to give a presentation in like a TLDR of Streamgate in Denver, but I mean, like, where is that? Where are you guys at? Like, do you have anything you want to say about that? You don't have to nail down any timelines or give any
Give us the alpha. We
specifics.
need it.
I mean, more than anything, I think people might not even be aware like what you were doing with Streamgate. So, do you want to give like a quick little TLDR of kind of like what your thought process is around it?
Yeah, I mean TLDR for people, incentivized listening, so that you actually get something, get a reward out of listening to music for once, because you never do, except for, if you like the artist or not, then maybe you get some brain chemical happiness. Um, but you don't get anything necessarily like monetary or material. So hopefully we can change that. I think the next phase of things is a mixture of convenience and incentivization. Um, but as far as that timeline goes and things like that, like the entire platform is built and everything works. Um, the holdup was, I guess, Spotify.
Mhm.
Um, at the end of the day, like they do things the way they do things so that they can make as much money as possible. And a model like ours would just mean they pay artists more money. So, they hate that.
Right.
But you have to apply for an extended API to get full usage out of their API so that everybody can do it. Otherwise, we're limited to 25 people max. And they didn't want us to have that, so we went through a alternative mode, and we partnered with the company that already has that API extension. The only issue with that is that their data update intervals are every like 15 to 30 minutes, and I think that makes for bad like user experience to like be streaming and then it doesn't even update for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to figure that out right now, but everything works and everything's put together. It's just like we could release it and you could be like, hey, well, shit, we'll update in 30 minutes, but I think that sucks.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to honor the user experience that you're trying to offer. I know I sent you a message like right away when I tested Streamgate, like it gave me goosebumps. I'm like, this is where it's supposed to be. I mean, this is what people are blowing smoke. I mean, there's so much smoke being blown up people's asses out there about the creator economy and what Web3 can do for creators. And we're playing buzzword bingo, but I
Yeah.
used Streamgate. I listened. I got rewarded. There was a dynamic NFT. And like right away, I'm like, oh, fuck, man, I'm getting rewarded just for doing the thing that I would do anyway. And
Yeah.
the artist is also making out on the other side because
Yeah.
I'm supporting them. Like that's,
I mean, it was such a great example of the true ethos of what Web3 is about, right? Cutting out the middleman and taking that extra meat and distributing it to the creators and the users, right? So everybody benefits. And it's a cool way to also, it's like a new direct line between the creator, the artist, and their fan base, right? So it's such a cool two-way street to be able to reward each other.
Yeah. It was kind of just like I guess a culmination of being in the space and wanting shit to like mean stuff for people. So um we do see so much vaporware. Even like even the AI agent wave that came through is like so vaporware. Everything vaporware. Like so many investment companies like reaching out to me like, hey, like
Yeah.
we see what you're doing with Junior. Like you should launch a platform where everybody could do that. And I was like, nobody cares about that. Like nobody cares about that, one. And two, like 1,700 people are doing it very fast so that they could like make the fastest money, and then nobody's gonna care a month from now.
yeah, it's a cash out. Like that's all it is. It's a really quick cash grab, taking advantage of whatever hype is around that buzzword. In this case, it was AI agents. And then people ran to the exchanges as fast as possible and dumped it on their heads. So
Yep.
that's one thing I appreciate about you, Vega, is like you've always just kind of told it as it is. Like you've never been afraid to just be like, nope, this is how I see it. And you have integrity around with the things that you're trying to do. And like that is rare. out there on the timeline right now and in this space. So many people are just grifting so hard.
So many, yeah.
Griftonomics, man. Yeah.
Grifflation.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Crazy out here.
Just so everybody knows, I mean, obviously I have it on the screen, but this is the Twitter account or the Twixer account for Streamgate. And you can go out, you can give this a follow so you can keep up with any announcements that are going out there, that are getting out there around this product. Again, this is a real product. Whenever I see someone on the timeline that is like, nothing's been built, I'm like, fuck you, if you only knew. You just can't appreciate how hard it is to actually bring something meaningful to the market. Like that is a process, and there's a lot of obstacles that come up along the way. It's not as simple as like idea and then immediate execution. So yeah, I mean, go out if you're listening or you're watching this on repeat. I mean, we tend to get like almost 2,000 views on these live streams. Like, go out and follow Streamgate, so you can keep up with this. And Vega, that's you, Ava. Is it Boz who's the dev? Is there any
Boz
team?
Dom is on
right.
UI design and things like that.
Yeah, it's a slick product, man. I don't know if the link's still active at the moment.
I think it is.
It is, yeah.
I don't know if you can do anything with it, but
let's go. I just want to show the if you're calling out Dom there, I want to make sure people realize.
Yeah.
I mean, it's well put together. It's a beautiful site. So I like Privy. It's nice. I'm like trying to log in now.
We got Privy. I might tell you, hey, we're doing things.
We'll see.
I don't know.
In a minute. Yeah, it gave me the circular. Hey, we're doing things. That's okay. If you go to 0x Soul right now, it just says page coming soon.
Coming soon.
So but yeah, I would say again, for everybody who might be watching, go out, follow the account, because that's where you're going to get the information, and hopefully we can surface Ava's talk alts as part of the TLDR as well, with some of the work that we're doing out in Denver.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I had another question, Vega. Hello Labs. I want to hear about that.
Are you talking about
saw that?
Killer Whales?
Yeah. that it's kind of like a game show, TV game show that you got featured on. Looks pretty dope.
Yes, it's kind of like Shark Tank, right?
Yeah.
But the sharks, they don't say, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $5 million for 10% of your stuff." They kind of just say, "Hey, this is cool," or "This sucks." Hey, I heard about your stuff. Nice. Like, yeah, it was a cool experience for sure, and I think there's going to be a lot of good that comes from it. They say like projected subscribers that'll have access to it is like 600 million. So whoever is able to watch it, and who does watch it and is introduced to Junior as a character, tight.
Yeah, right here. This is the
the next step for Junior has always been
or not
me wanting to make like a cartoon series or something like that, because world building, I think, is the most important thing to an IP. So
yeah,
maybe with this there will be some of that incoming. There are a lot of discussions being had with people that have seen it.
Yeah, okay. So really, you're thinking like animated cartoon series.
Yeah.
You always have, your vision's always so expansive. You're like if there was just more visibility on the things that you've been doing since you grabbed since you grabbed Junior's IP, people would be floored, right? To see the boundaries you push. It's a crying shame that instead we're out there we're following absolute grit again, full on grifters and meme coins, and we're not paying attention to what people are doing.
We're buying Portnoy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. It's brutal.
I mean, it's the pain of being early and authentic, right? Is you got to fucking sit there and see the grifters.
Yeah, I'm basically when Kanye was yelling, "I'm Walt Disney" before he became a psychopath. Yeah, before he became an absolute lunatic. But
yeah, oh yeah, interesting.
But he made graduation. No.
My brain can't do two things at once. I'm trying to multitask. I'm trying to like run the stream and look around, and it's just fucking not working.
It's all good.
All right, let's see.
So have you been to ETH Denver before, Vega?
No, I've barely been to Denver before.
Really? Oh yeah, it's a nice city. I enjoy it.
Plans? I mean, to just do the events. I don't know. I saw you guys were like snowboarding or something. I'm gonna pass on that one.
I'm not doing that either yet.
I'll watch. I mean, we got that's like a super fluid event, and it's at like a local park, and you can get snowboard gear, but and then it's like a terrain park, and that sounds to me like broken bones and smash face. And that's not right. Like I'd rather sit on the side and just laugh at the people who are falling. So if I'm there, that's what I'll be doing.
I might have considered it if I had my own snow gear, but I will die before I wear rented gear.
Yeah, you're a little bit of a germaphobe.
Yeah, it just sounds like a bad time.
Getting other people's sweats up and on.
You're not borrowing like underwear, Vega. It's just like,
hey man, I don't care, bro. Boots and snow pants and a helmet and all kinds of other things that everybody has touched.
Think about the lice. Awful. You don't want those things on your scalp.
Lice, bro.
No, I don't want that.
Right now, Superfluid's event is actually getting negative press because sorry,
no, it's a cool event. They partnered with some rentals so basically everything's free and you just got to show up, which is really cool. It's a cool initiative. But I think it's like 3 hours. So I mean, I typically like if I go ski or board, I want to go for like a week and just embed myself into the mountain.
Yeah, dig a hole and just bury your body.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Superfluid did a surf event in Bangkok. It was like on one of those surf riders, which is pretty cool. So like one of those wave machines. I did not go, but I heard it was okay.
That might be okay.
If I'm going to surf, I want to make sure when I fall, it goes into water and not some hard surface and just smack my face on.
Yeah.
It's padded.
It's padded. We got Sweet Feels here from Norway. Sweet Feels is hanging out again under the Aurora Borealis, swimming in a fjord, taking a cold plunge.
We're working on their axe throws.
That's life.
That's all life. One thing we're doing, Vega, I don't know if you got time for it because it's you're a busy guy, but we're putting on Resonate, which is like a DJ documentary in Denver. Like we've been working on producing that along with Annalisa and Fancy, like the Foundation for the New Creative Economy. So we've got a speakeasy rented. We're like inviting people in. We're gonna have open DJ decks. And
I think I already signed up for that.
All right, perfect.
Dope.
Yeah.
Should be a fun time. And then the goal is, I mean, to try to again drill down not on the buzzwords, but like what are the problems that real creators are having reaching and connecting with their audience. So like when we were talking about it, I actually said to John, I was like, hey, is Vega and Ava, are they aware that we're doing this? Because like, there's like a natural dovetail with something like Streamgate, like just for them to be able to even expose themselves to more artists. So those artists are aware of what's coming. I thought it would be a natural fit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what John kind of said. So he was like, hey, come through. I was like, okay.
Yeah. All right. And then, we're planning Alt is the I guess the mastermind behind the camera. So, you know, we'll make it look like it's really fun, even if it's
It'll
not.
look funner than it really was. No, it's cool. I'm looking forward to just vibing with a really interesting group of creators.
Yeah, Alt, you got anything you want to say about that event? Fill people in.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of a smaller event, more intimate, but it's really to just sit there and to be able to get some really interesting conversations going with DJs in the Web3 space. Just kind of about their background, what their vision is for the future of DJing in Web3 and how blockchain, where it's lacking and kind of where it needs to go. But yeah, we should definitely have some really interesting conversations, and then we're gonna kind of blend that into so a lunch break and some cocktails and stuff, and then I don't know if you want maybe some greenery, and and then blend that into some DJ sets, so we can actually vibe out to some awesome music.
Nice.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, and actually, Alt is chasing some of these people around to events that they're actually playing, other events they're playing around the city to get some footage and see what they're doing, and see how this all lines up. Again, the goal is to try to drill down again where are creators actually having real pain. Again, not the buzzword bingo grifter pain, but like I'm an artist. I'm going to go play somewhere. How do I connect with my fans when I leave? How do I know that they actually listen to me, care about me? How do I create that authentic relationship? That's a massive problem, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard it from many people who don't obviously care about blockchain, even, just the local musician playing in a bar, down the street from me. Like, they're making flyers, they're doing their own self-promotion, but like, how do they actually gain traction? How do they do ticketing that they're in control of, or a small scale ticketing to an event, right? How do they reward their fans? All this stuff is the stuff that I know you think about, Vega, especially through Streamgate, but even outside of that, just in general, as an artist, like, how do you build those relationships? And it's a fucking crying shame that so much energy is being put into, like, again, Portnoy coin or something else like that, and not enough energy or money is being put into like solving these real problems that this technology could enable us to solve. It's beyond.
I was thinking about it the other day, and I was trying to like really understand what's going on here. And I think people have PTSD, bro, like from NFT communities. Like honestly, like it seems like this cycle, everyone wants to say, I've learned my lesson. I'm taking profits at all cost. And at all cost means they're putting money into things, and then the life cycle of that thing is 2 to 4 hours. So they're taking profit within 2 to 4 hours, pretty much immediately, honestly. And it's just causing like a jump and a flip from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, because people have not only rug PTSD, but like, I've held this for too long and it fizzled out to nothing PTSD.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's thinking about it deeper. I didn't know who to really, blame for that. Do we blame the projects for being extractionary, or is being extractionary a result of uh the let's say community now, you know just selling the fuck out of it in the first 2 minutes? Like,
I mean, I think it's like a natural evolution of things that you were kind of hinting at there. I mean, from cycle to cycle, it's always happened, where you get a new class comes in and they just get absolutely destroyed because they don't know what the hell they're doing, right? They end up
yeah,
chasing this or that. And whether it was the ICO boom or DeFi or NFTs and now meme coins, it's always the same thing, right? It's just like a new class gets wrecked and then they move on to the next grift during the next hype cycle. It's always something new.
yeah,
So I mean, really, I mean, what you want to do is just learn your lesson. You don't necessarily, I mean, you don't want to have the PTSD side of things where now you're just like a cutthroat bandit chasing the next hype thing. It's like, then you're just falling for the same trap again. It's like, I like that, you've kind of gone the opposite route where it's like, No, you just dig into your trenches, become more authentic, and stay true to your own vision, and not just keep chasing the scraps that they allow you to have. Like, because those scraps and like that style, that's not sustainable, right? That's not what you're trying to build. What we kind of resonate with is things that are sustainable and you can grow and build into the future, and that's where the true value is, right? But many people don't. They fall for the trap.
Yeah. Thankfully, LUKSO has um, some connections to people at both SoundCloud and Tidal. So if Spotify still wants to act crazy, maybe I talk to one of these people like at the actual company, like personally, and we just have direct access through their approval of the platform, hopefully.
It sucks that there's like these guardians at the gate. I don't know. I could probably come up with a better word, like phrase for it, if I thought about it more, or it wasn't early in the morning and it wasn't under caffeinated. But there are people who have made money, are in the business of making more money, and the models that they have put in place, they certainly don't want to allow a disruptive technology in that might cut into their profit share.
Which is a crazy way of thinking about it, because there's just more money to be had this way.
For
And
sure.
this like an additional layer of subscription that, like, artists are already paying for fake streams. They're already like, hey, I'm gonna go pay $100 a month for 50K fake streams or something like that. But they could just be like, okay, artists, you want to use incentivize like boosting or whatever, like $10 a month for artists. And that's just like another whole subscription model that's like millions of people.
You're right.
Right. Instead of being afraid of the unknown, why don't we explore it together? Right. Like have that idea that like collaboration is going to yield better results if we're just willing to explore it. And unfortunately, more often than not, people who are in power are not fans of potentially yielding any or sharing any, which is unfortunate. Like you said, I when you were talking before, it like flashed in my mind something that was said yesterday. I think it was in the LUKSO growthy space, but effectively, like in 2021, when the NFTs were really popping and people were launching everywhere, there was like this, I don't know, copium that we were all changing the world. Every project was promising utility that was going to completely disrupt all of these industries across the board. Not really any different from 2017 when people were buying like Dentacoin and you're going to use that to pay for all the dentists everywhere. But I mean, it's still that was the feeling, like you were getting involved in something. And like we all, I mean, admittedly, me definitely, I bought in hook, line, and sinker. And I mean, Nike absolutely pulled the rug out from underneath me on that one, like the creator economy. Now there's this nihilistic meme coin. Like you said, people were so burned. Maybe they are. That's what they're doing. They're just like, I'm going to take profits at all costs, and I don't care who it hurts along the way. It like focuses in on that we're only here for money. And I think when people say we're like returning to utility coins, or for those of us who are actually trying to build projects, maybe it's because we're just actually focused on the actual soul that was involved, that stitches through all of crypto from the moment that it was first initiated. And that's like really solving problems that real people are having, that are not necessarily profit driven, like at its core, right? Like it's more like, yes, we all need to participate in the economy, and yes, everybody loves a profit, but that can't be the sole motivator to do anything, right? Like yes, you want to make money potentially with your brand Vega, with Junior, with everything you're doing, because that helps you survive and continue doing the things you like to do. But if it was sheerly just profit, there's nothing that stops you just from selling everything on your walls.
I know, right?
The money, right? Like there's nothing that stops us. So I'm hopeful that blockchain technology actually pushes us forward, or we can find critical mass of people launching projects that start to again, stop grifting on the buzzwords and start actually trying to solve problems. I've said grifting on buzzwords like fucking 10 times this morning. I feel so strongly about it. I'm so sick of listening to it. Like I am so sick of it at this point in my life. I can't even.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to think about too. I think because of those, like we talked about those different classes, through each cycle, the ones that got burned with NFTs, it's like, okay, typically with the ICOs and DeFi and every cycle and every hype wave, you had new people coming in that you could take advantage of, right? Because they just don't know what the hell they're doing, like everybody when they first get here. But this cycle, really, it's like there hasn't been much new money. Not many new faces or retail coming in, right? Because they weren't allured by meme coins like they were with NFTs and art and the promise of some other things. You know what I mean? So I think, that's part of the reason people are so angry and bitter. It's because now they're just having to compete with each other. And that's why it's so much more combative and ruggy, because it's like they just take turns jumping on each other instead of a new class, right? So like that's the only way. Now we've kind of reached this tipping point where, okay, the greater world, they know the grift too, right? So it's like there's not much money to be made on meme coins, and now they're just 2-hour grifts anymore. You know what I mean? So like, in order to get into that bigger piece of which is crazy, because that's where the real value lies anyways, is in billions of users that actually use the internet and mobile phones and things that we haven't even remotely tapped into yet. Like that's where the actual real money and value is. So hopefully, yeah, through this healing process, the greater space can focus on utility more again, and get into that sector where we can actually sustain it.
Yeah. And instead, we're all getting dumped on together by the president.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a cartoon show, right? Like it's almost like if you wrote the story, people reject the book because it's too
Outlandish,
ridiculous, right? We go from the SEC persecuting real companies everywhere, making the United States so hostile to crypto that it almost kills the industry, right? And then the president rolls in right before he takes office and drops Trump coin. And how many people got wrecked on that too? Unbelievable.
A lot.
Unbelievable.
I see posts and I really laugh at them, and it's like, please, Gary, like, we're sorry.
Yeah.
I saw one where Gary was the
find
avatar.
balance.
They had Gary as the avatar. I thought that was hilarious. I wish I could pull that up. I won't find it bad stuff. Jack says, dreams inspired the vision, right? And like, it's true. So many of us had dreams or still have dreams, and that's like the long-term vision. And like people with dreams are getting absolutely crushed because the mechanics of the space are kind of like, as they currently exist, I guess, are like, we've made it too easy for people to grift.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've just made it too fucking easy. Before all these token generators were out there, it was much harder to grift, and like you could see it coming from a mile away, or it was called out very quickly. Now we're launching untold numbers of coins every hour, and some people call those quote unquote cultural currencies, but I call bullshit, right? That is some bullshit if I've ever heard it.
I mean, the problem was it's kind of like the film industry, right? It's like at some point it just becomes more about the corporate dollar and money, and then generally speaking, the audience gets dumber and they just want entertainment, and it's kind of happened the same thing on a much quicker scale in the crypto space, where it's like too many people have embraced the rug gamble culture, and they just like they all know it's a scam and it's a game of hot potato. Like, yeah, we're willing to just put money in, gamble, and whoever's left holding the bag is just, they're fucked. So it's like, I don't know why you would want to play that game. That's one thing I never really understood. It's like, okay, it's one thing to dabble and have some fun, and even like Dogecoin's been around forever, right? And it's like that's a little bit different, but now it's just gotten so insanely ridiculous, and you're up against bots and insiders and all these other things. It's like you're never gonna compete. So I don't know why people even try, to be honest. Like, at least if you want to gamble, like there's plenty of other options that are regulated. that are way better.
Sports betting.
Yeah, sports betting, poker, scratch offs, lottery, fucking anything, man.
17
Bingo.
leg parlay.
Yeah. I mean, your odds are better, right? It's like there's probably like 20 million tokens out there that have dropped like in the last couple of years.
At the core, Pump.Fun, I mean, had streaming, right? You could stream and launch your token. The problem is like there was no penalty, right? There's no social penalty for grifting, right? There's no grifting. Let me replace that word with full on stealing people's money. Like, there was no penalty for it.
It was almost celebrated.
Yeah, right. Like we had a culture of like, I made money off this token, and those people have hundreds of thousands of followers on Twixer. And like those people are the ones that we're lionizing, like somehow they're smarter than the rest of us, where really all they're doing is colluding. And that collusion is is literally the same act that lands people in jail if you did it in other sectors of the market.
Crime. It's just crime. It's crime season.
Yeah, it's crime. Where honestly though, I mean, this is just, I'll ask you both. Do you support streamers being able to monetize their streams? I think you'd both say yes. Am I right?
Of course. Yeah.
Right. So at its core, there is something there that is true, that is real. The problem is like, I guess like most things, it's the fucking Wild West, man. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to end up getting shot in the street or go broke before we narrow it down and put enough guardrails in place that like maybe something real emerges from it. The fear is, from where I sit, is that like how many good people get burned along the way? Like, can we evolve even slightly so we can get to the actual beating heart of like what this is for, before people get completely burned out or our industry gets completely tarnished? I don't know.
I mean, we know this is not going to be the future, right? It's a ticking time bomb. It's pretty much, I mean, it's already maxed out. I don't know how you can even like, unless God drops a meme coin or something. I really don't know how you're gonna. You had a couple, like a president, right? I mean, like, how does it go any higher than that? It's got to be maxed out.
God coin.
God coin. Just don't even. That's going to show up later on today. So this tweet, I just saw it. 2022 changed me. 2023 broke me. 24 opened my eyes, and 25 we're coming back. Right. I hope that happens. And I hope some of these projects that are being architected out there, we actually come back to some real form of utility and not the, again, buzzword bingo utility of I'm launching a project and this is going to save the narwhals. Right. Like,
we know this where it's headed though, because like we just talked about, when you talk to the people in Web 2 and even Web 3, right, they have major problems that blockchain can and will fix. It's just a matter of time.
Shout out to the narwhals.
Shout out to the narwhals. Yeah. Do you guys ever did you ever listen to like the Shiny Spaces back in 21? Like surrounded, it was like 4 to 8 topics, let's say. But they would get people that would come on all the time, and it'd be like Web3 solving this problem, Web3 solving that problem, Web3, 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 Web3. And I remember listening to it at the time being like, yeah, like there's a real possibility to change the world, but will you fucking stop? Like, it was almost immediately apparent to me that like most of the speakers on the stage, they weren't there to do anything other than ride the wave to some professional advancement on their own. Like they were only there to like float on the tide of the creator. Like, that's what I'll say. And even now I'll say, I look out across the greater, again, social media, and I mean, fuck, you're free. Anyone is free to tell me I'm wrong or that I'm an asshole. But I look at this whole marketing thing, like everybody's a crypto marketer these days. And like, I'm the best marketer out there, and like marketing this and marketing that. And if I could scroll my timeline and show you 50 people that think they're crypto marketers, and all it is again, it's like the attention economy ripping the heart out of this space, right? Like these people are actually offering almost zero to the greater industry, but they're being paid to offer almost zero to the industry. And that drives me insane. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
You should see my DMs, bro.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I mean, that's how it is. It just is. It just is like just vaporware buzzword, like you said, nonsense. I felt that way when everybody started using community over and over and over and over and over,
Right.
and you would go to any conference anywhere. I probably didn't go to ETH Denver sooner because I went to a few of them in LA, and you'd sit down and it'd just be people talking about exactly what you already know, but saying community 17 times. And I mean, yeah, it's hopefully it gets better, but w- I'm a little bit more existential with it, and I've seen Idiocracy, and I just what you mentioned with the movies. I had a conversation recently about how like kids these days, they don't even really know how to read. I mean, they can read, but like they don't have the ability to like sit down and read. So instead, they just watch things on the iPad, and because they don't know how to read, they don't really understand like the necessity of a plot. So it's just like
Well, I mean,
Michael
it's
Bay
literally we've gotten down to the
explosions.
yeah, exactly. We've gotten down to the well, I would say the Mentos commercials, but it actually Mentos commercials are actually really good at having a 3-story arc, like a 3-arc story, like and it has like a beginning, middle, and end in 30 seconds. But now it's like, okay, you got 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah,
How extreme can you get? Like our attention span has just fallen off a cliff.
and then you have Old Spice.
Right?
Oh, Old Spice, bam.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up Idiocracy because I think that is a cult movie that was like very forward looking and has really come to be true. Like Mike
Oh, for
Judge hit
sure.
the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah,
I look around and I'm horrified by what I see, truthfully.
everything's gonna be owned by Comcast, NBC, Pepsi Cola, um, you know, Tyler Perry. All it's all gonna be the same company, same one company, and we're gonna be drinking Gatorade for breakfast.
And watering our crops with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good God. I don't know. I haven't I'd like to believe that that's not going to be the future that I live in, but the more I look around, I think you're absolutely right. It feels like that's going to be the future that I'm actually, that's a present I'm living in. And I'm hoping that an asteroid doesn't hit the planet and we recover. But there's other times I hope an asteroid does hit the planet and just wipes us out.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe wipes out certain sectors. I mean,
like
I still have hope that AI will save us.
AI is going to put us down. That's what's going to happen.
Well, if
my
that's the form of saving we need, then so be it, I guess.
I have done my part in advancing the AI for AI overlords. So
They'll take care of you. Yeah. I mean, I talk nice to chat. I tell Chat GPT, thank you so much.
Yeah, I
You're
was
my
going to
best
say,
friend.
are you polite to your AI friends, or do you tell them to fuck off?
like,
I mean, they're probably listening right now. We love you, AI.
thank you, ChatGPT.
Thank you, chat. How many subscriptions do you pay for? Just ballpark it. AI subscriptions.
Oh, AI subscription 0.
Zero. Oh, good for
How many
you.
do I pay for?
Yeah.
I think maybe 2.
Should I? Is that part of the? Are they going to take that into account?
Yeah, that's on the
Yeah,
scoreboard.
they're taking notes right now.
I,
I
I
pay for 17.
oh, see, they got alts right there. AI jumps in.
He didn't pay for enough subscriptions.
Yeah. Nah, I've fallen down this subscription rabbit
Oh,
hole
damn it.
because I
I'm signing up for something else right now. I'm signing up right now.
because I use it for coding, right? So like I've got, let's see, I had ChatGPT in general because I liked it, OpenAI, and then Claude was great, and then Cursor came along, and I'm like, fuck, and context switching stuff, so I'll pay for Cursor. And now that I'm thinking of it, I'm like, I probably have like 4 or 5 subscriptions to different AI services, and include Grok because I have a Twitter Premium, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I got 5 different models, and that seems so wasteful now that I'm saying it in real time. Man, I got to rethink my life big time.
You never know which one you need, I guess.
I mean, I shouldn't be paying for all those things, but in real time, I find myself working across a bunch of different models, right? And cross-referencing.
Mhm.
I mean, they're valuable tools. Like, let's not forget that even for a heartbeat. They're super valuable. Oh, yeah. And DeepSeek, right? So, yep, working right across the board. I am a fucking sucker, right? Put me up on the board. I'm polite to all of them, though.
Hey, man, get familiar and get ahead, I guess.
Oh, good God.
They're more like stay afloat. That's pretty much what you're gonna need it for.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, guys, I just wanted to see if anybody had any, like last questions. I'm sure Cindy's about to punch me in the face because of,
Yeah,
she's
No,
trying to.
No, we appreciate you coming on, Vega. It's
For
okay.
sure.
We're gonna bullshit for probably at least another hour. So
Hell yeah.
don't feel like you got to stick around, and I'll really look forward to catching up and meeting you in person in Denver. I've always been a fan of what you work for, but like the actual products you put out there. But honestly, I think you have your own North Star and you really are not influenced by other people. And I appreciate that about you big time.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be good to see you guys. Get some beers or something.
Yeah, when was the last time I saw you? Was it in Miami during our
Miami.
Basel? Yeah, Miami. Yeah, so it'll be good to kick it again, my friend. And looking forward to seeing your dope performance. And yeah, just catching up, man. Thanks for joining us. It was good chatting with you.
So have a good rest of your day, guys.
You too, buddy.
Okay. All right, Vega, the man, coming in. That was a nice chat. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was great. Yeah, it was great. I know it's super early for him. It's early for me, even earlier for him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's early for me, but again, I'm puritanical.
Yeah.
So I get out of bed early. I work hard. I don't sleep much, up here in the Great White North.
The Great White North.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's what we would call it, but
I'm sure.
Look at that, Alts.
What the hell am I looking at here?
There's been an update in urinal technology.
What is that?
That's to stop splashback. The ladies in the audience, they don't know anything about this, but you don't want to walk up to a urinal and have it splash on you, right?
Well, clearly not.
And I'm not peeing sitting down at all. That's outside.
No.
That is outside of the realm of things that I want to do. I'm a man.
How far away from a urinal do you pee?
Depends. If I'm the only person in the room, we might want to stretch it, see how far we can go. If there's other people in the room, then we're gonna get responsibly tight.
Responsibly. I mean, the people that like hug it. That's one thing I've never understood. Like they lean in, they're like half their body is in the urinal. I don't know. I don't get that. It's not where I don't want to touch anything.
You ever been to a place that just has the trough?
Yeah.
The trough makes me, one, reminds me of Fenway Park, like as a kid where I'm peeing up and into the trough. I got to actually
you had to like stand on your tiptoes.
Stand on the tiptoes to really kind of angle it back. Right. And then like, think about that. Like if people are kind of angling and shooting up, how much lands on the floor?
I mean, that's just okay.
It's just awful. Right.
All right. What other tweet you got?
No, I saw that. Yeah. All right. Fine. Yeah. Well, that's what we're calling. We're calling it crash out.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole anymore.
You're watching us crash out in real time. Look at that. We're just on meta. It's so meta. One thing that was actually kind of cool is as I scroll, there was a tweet I put out here. Now I gotta find it. So give me a hot second now. This one is not the one I thought of, but I liked it anyway. Failure, the pain, this is how you perceive it. It's terrible, right? Super high, But in truth, it's not as bad as you think it is. Right.
It really isn't. It's fascinating. The human psyche is fascinating that way. Even just as simple as like anxiety. Like
Oh, big time.
you go out in the world and it's like people, I don't know. I mean, you might think, oh my God, they're judging me. They know my problems. Like, no, they're just trying to get by themselves. They don't have any, man. So like as a filmmaker, I've done a lot of different things to study acting and various. I've taken classes and courses and things. And I did this one workshop a few times actually. But one of the interesting things they do is like a 3-day. You go for like 15 hours a day for like 3 days in a row. It's pretty intensive. But like at the end of it, one of the things they do is they sit you in the middle of there's like 25 people, right? And it's like they just sit you in the middle of the room and everybody circles around you. And all they do is just pay you compliments. And for me, the first time I experienced that, I'm like, what? My initial reaction is every time I'm shooting down every compliment, like, no, that's bullshit. No, that's a lie. You're just saying that to look good, blah, 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 And it was like just such a crazy reaction. And then after that, then they put you in one-on-one sessions for like 2 minutes, right? And then you just kind of rotate around to talk to everybody. But then just for like a minute straight, you tell them things you thought they did great those 3 days, And that's when I actually started believing it, because I'm like, okay, now they're not doing it in front of a group to impress the group, right? And they're actually giving me very specific examples of things that they thought that I did well or whatever. And it was like, it just really helped me open my perspective of the way the world sees you and other people see you versus the way you see yourself, right? It always feels like you're failing, like you're not doing it right. Like, but it's like, man, everybody else is like, man, you're doing so good, Like it's so crazy how we can, be so down on ourselves, right?
Yeah, interesting. It's we are our own worst critic,
right? For sure.
And part of the journey is figuring out how unproductive the self-flagellation is, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You gotta practice self-love. Like that's where it starts.
Well said.
Now let's all go hug ourselves and stream. Hey, did you see this fidget coil?
Yeah.
These are
looking dope.
Fidget coil has just been constantly iterating and progressing, and I will be one of the first customers of fidget coil for sure. Lock that in. These things are super cool. Even, like a custom signer. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah. I can't wait to see. I don't really know what all it's going to be able to do.
Yeah, I do.
Really well crafted.
I do know, like, there's the chip thing that the Tricks of Personality Winnie is behind. You could like, I think it's really just has socials inside it, but maybe it'll be a signer long term. I mean, just to have that thing, it's almost like Inception, where you got the little top and that tells you or not, right? Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I tend to carry something with me, like it's always in my pocket. That's become obviously like my wallet, cell phone, keys, which I go through the process of every single time I walk in the house or out of the house. I'm like, wallet, cell phone, keys, wallet, cell phone, keys.
Yeah.
Right. That's
the double pat. I got everything.
Yeah. It wouldn't be obscene for me to add one more thing to my pocket. I mean, in truth, sometimes it's wallet, cell phone, keys, AirPods. Wallet, cell phone, keys.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Like, it could be
wallet, cell phone, keys, fidget coil.
Yeah. Right. It could easily be that. And it could be the thing that I use as like the signer, the additional signer for transactions, right? I could use it. It could be a controller key for a universal profile, right?
Yeah, that'd be dope.
I mean, there's so many ways that this thing could go. I just think it's super cool. I'm glad someone is progressing here. And I think I saw they're actually also looking at smaller chips that could be embedded in other things, which is again, super cool.
Yeah, I love to see progression on that side of things. I mean, I've tried out a lot of different things as far as like for signing and for NFC and stuff. And it's not, I mean, the technology definitely needs to keep evolving. So I love to see they're kind of pushing that boundary there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just dropped you a link.
Ooh, nice.
In the chat there.
Then let me get that thing up on the screen. From Pob Studio.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the latest or tried it out yet.
No,
it's actually pretty awesome.
I have not tried this out at all. You want to give me the TLDR?
just do it.
All right. So you're
no.
telling me just do it, man.
Just do it.
How do I click into this? Don't do
Go to their, go there, and then bam.
Okay. So we're sharing this tab instead. Okay. We're doing a live demo of Pod Studio. Is everyone excited? As excited as I am? I don't know if you are.
So do you understand what it is? Like, you basically select a transaction on chain and you can immortalize it with some pretty cool art.
All right, tell me about it. Tell me more.
I mean, that's pretty much the rundown.
So I could select the transaction on chain where I created the Etherian profile way back at the beginning, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I mean, I did one. So currently it's not fully live, that you can't mint, but you can create and add them to your cart and have them ready. So I did one. I did actually, when I moved my MetaHeads Genesis from ETH to LUKSO, I did that one and made one that I put into my cart, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. The one thing I would like to see here, just saying Pod Studio, is I want to be able to see my little avatar when I log in with my universal profile. You guys are still cool. I'm just giving you feedback that's elicited. So
no, that's why we do that's why we do the demos like this. They want to hear feedback, I'm sure.
Enjoy that. All right. So what do? Do I go to the studio?
Let me see here. If I can go full screen, I can't really, it's hard for me to tell the details there. Click on right there, LUKSO is live. Just click on that announcement. I think that might do it.
Okay. I'm in the block verse. What this means, it's telling me all about it.
Or maybe mint crypto history. The one below that.
Oh, look at that. There's LUKSO live, and now it has my, sorry. Boom.
Now, there we go. Okay, bam.
There we go. Sorry, I was looking at a screen that you couldn't see. Yep. Look at that. LUKSO live, and look what happens. Pulls in my avatar image directly from my universal profile. Super cool. Okay. So that's my cart. I'm feeling lucky.
I'm curious what that is. Maybe it just rolls the dice.
Okay. But you see it at the top, little progress bar. Ooh. This occurred on November 1st, 2024.
Oh, so it just grabbed a random one. That's cool.
This is before universal profiles were launched. So it's just a random one. Sender and receiver. 111 days ago. No.
Yes.
Universal profiles were launched. It was
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And just a small block, right? Not much going on in this block.
Yeah, so you could just basically take any transaction and copy paste it into that search there.
I'm feeling lucky.
This one's 18 days ago.
Okay, feeling lucky again.
So the random one is any chain, because they have Base and Ethereum and a few other chains as well as LUKSO.
All right. Well, I keep feeling lucky. Just re-rolling the dice on that. Optimism.
Yeah.
Base, Ethereum, Base, Ethereum. Maybe I don't want to feel lucky if I want LUKSO. Okay. Don't want to feel lucky on that. All right. We're going to go. Let's make this slightly more interesting. Let's go to Block Scout. How about that? Block Scout.
Yeah.
Block Scout. And we're going to go to the LUKSO network. Here we go. Share this tab so you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah. Let's follow along.
Let's find a block. Let's find a block. Those are transactions. Let's find a block. Here are some nice blocks. Okay. What do I do, Alt? Tell me what to do.
You just need a transaction hash.
Let's look at a transaction hash or the block.
Yeah. No, the hash.
Okay.
Just go to your up. Yeah, go to your
so we don't want the block. I was just looking for a random block. You want me to go to
pick you need a specific transaction.
Oh, I need a transaction from the block. That's what you're telling me. So we got the transaction hash now. Okay.
Yeah. So then you just copy the hash.
Now we go here.
Yep.
And we go.
Well, you got to select LUKSO there. Yeah. Bam.
There. And we start the search. Oh, damn it. Right here. Oh, did you see that? I clicked too fast. Ethelorian's universal profile creation transaction.
Sick.
Ooh, all right. Okay. So now we're up.
And then that's a representation of it. That's so cool.
Oh, look at that. 12 events committed. Events emitted in that block. Ownership transferred. Execute. Dude,
That's
this
dope.
This is my sigil. Add it to cart. Okie dokie. I will be purchasing this when it becomes appropriate to do so. Whenever you let me do it, Pops, I will be purchasing this.
Yeah. So in the meantime, you can just add some to your cart if you want to play around.
Yeah. Cool.
And they have a Farcaster integration in there too. I saw.
And only one person can own the transaction. Is that what it is? Or own the block?
I don't know. That's a good question, actually.
Because I'm going to look up the transaction. Your profile was created, and I'm going to steal yours.
You just go steal everybody's.
I'm going to take yours. Yeah, everyone's. Let's see. Let's see how many people I can steal.
29,500.
Oh, good God. All right. Scrolling. Hey, this right here. You feeling like this right now, Alts, at all? Or am I the only person on the planet that's feeling like this?
I mean, I think I feel like it's not that steep and you're just kind of making it seem steeper than it really is.
It's more like the Sisyphus thing of like pushing the boulder up the hill and it just keeps coming back down. And it's like, no matter how hard I push, it's just like,
it's like a triangle, or it's more like a triangle edge. You think you're the top and then it fell on the other side. Damn it. I got to go back to.
Absolutely brutal. Hey, are you familiar with Uma? This is the one I was looking for.
Thurman. Yeah, I am. She's a great actress.
Nah, Uma Protocol, you dingleberry.
Yes, I am.
Natural language oracle, bringing off-chain data on-chain. Interesting project, been around for a very long time. It actually secures Polymarket. So if you've ever participated in the Polymarket, the way that it resolves would be to bring the outcome of the event on chain, so then the oracle can be accessed, and then the smart contract can release the funds, right? So if you said Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl and you bet on Polymarket, you lost your money when after the game came in. And again, it's a natural language process where someone goes in and answers that question. No, they did not win, right? Clicks no or yes. Actually, the question is natural language, like who will win the Super Bowl? Chiefs will win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, super cool. One thing about that, though, I was kind of just like dreaming about this, and I was like, you know what would be super cool is if an optimistic oracle powered a community note style feature that was woven into a blockchain-based social application. I said, that would be cool, right?
Yeah,
because yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying expand on that a bit.
So expanding on that, the way that UMA works is you actually take your token and you stake it, right? And when you stake this token, all of these events that you've got to bring this information on chain need to be attested to, right? So if it happened, true, and then you get rewarded, right?
Yeah.
You get rewarded for verifying that this actually happened. If you lie or you do something that is not in line with what would be the truth that we all agree upon, you would then get penalized. So the tokens that you put up to vote would then be penalized a little bit. You might get a situation where you don't get as many tokens, or you actually get pinged some tokens, right? You're actually going to get some tokens debited. So there's a penalty for being a bad actor, right? So imagine if you had a situation, again, with a social platform where someone's being a complete asshole and lying about the truth. And you could go on, and there was like, a community notes where then people could come on and say, nope, this is untrue. And people could come on and say, I attest to the fact that it's untrue, or whatever, or it is true. And then through community notes, you would have this kind of reputation system of,
That's
yes, this is good things, or no, it's not good. That might be really cool. I mean, we have community notes already on Twixer. Imagine an Oracle based community notes where you had some measure of um, reliability.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
what
incentivized reputation,
yeah,
right?
incentivized reputation.
I mean, and the great thing about that style is, okay, it's because you're earning and risking reputation submitting community notes as well, right? So
Correct.
it's like that can't be gamified the same way because you can't just be on there, oh, he's a liar. It's like, no, you're putting your reputation and tokens on the line to say that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But yeah, so there's value on both sides there. I think, yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool. So again, UMA is on Ethereum mainnet, but it's also it secures Polymarket, so it's across a number of different chains. It'd be great if we could get some type of integration on LUKSO. Cost money. I'd love if someone built a custom version of this, but
Yeah.
it's more me dreaming. What's really interesting is one of the people behind UMA, Clayton, actually says, imagine AI driven community notes with a human powered dispute system. The disputes come up like, what if alt says it's true and I say it's not true? Right? How do you resolve that? Okay. So like there's ways that UMA resolves this, but what would be super cool is what if AI was actually crawling and reading all the interactions and actually determining what's true, what's not true. And then when the AI lies, the humans can spank it. Yeah.
When the AI,
Yeah, you get accurate notes and you're training the AI. It might be really cool.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I just
There's
want
a lot of value in that. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to think about the different ways that, you know, reputation systems can take form, but
well,
they have so much value.
I bring it up because how many people talk about reputation, but then we watch crash outs in real time
Yeah.
and there's no, and the only ping that someone might take on the reputation is in the collective memory of the people who watched it. Right. And over
Yeah.
time, it like fades a little bit. Or if a new entrant comes in, they're not aware of the fact that this person has rug
Yeah.
tech communities or, you know, insert whatever that they've done, you know. um it'd be great. Again, people will call it Black Mirror, but I don't think it's Black Mirror as much as
No.
it's just like knowing who your counterparty is and what the counterparty risk is.
Well, I mean, it's not Black Mirror because we're already doing a form of that, like you said on Twixter, right? Like, we already have community notes, and people are already doing it. So it's like you have even a more egalitarian version of that.
Twixer. Yeah, no, it's true. It just, we've got to elevate things a little bit. I mean, we can't have people running around. It's too Wild West. And there's a counterpoint here. And if anyone would like to come and give the counterpoint and tell me that they believe in quote unquote freedom of speech, which again, I don't think there have been more, there's probably been a lot of horrible acts that have been committed under the cloak and excuse of freedom of speech, right? Just like
Right.
worst and most violent acts ever have been performed under the cloak of God wills it, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's just I think that there has to be some reputational, there has to be a dislike. I'm actually a big believer in that. There like has to be a dislike button at some point. You know, this is
Well,
bad.
to balance things out. Yeah.
It can't just be all upvotes. It doesn't make sense. You know, lack of upvotes, because then you're lumped in with just lack of visibility, and that doesn't get to the heart of it, right?
Well, and it's easier to gamify when there's only upvotes, right? People just purchase upvotes.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't believe in I just think there has to be some negative ding on someone who's acting like a complete douchebag.
Well, but also it would be nice to have like something that's anonymous and easy, a one-click ding, instead of having to go in there and also be a douchebag to say something to counterbalance them their douchebaggery. You know what I mean? It's like then you just end up stooping to their level
Yeah,
as opposed
doucheception.
to just like, you know, maybe AI goes in there and just dings their reputation or whatever.
Yeah, we don't want doucheception, right?
Yeah, we don't need doucheception.
Hey, the other thing I listened to a space the other day, and this is just another one I had here, is like, I know you responded to it with a ton, but I listen to people talk about agents a lot on spaces these days. I'll pop in and we've got to expand our construct, like our mental construct around what agents are good for, what they could be used for, how they'll play into our life. You know, like
Yeah.
one thing that I'll say we are a, a large part of the narrative is like, how can I dominate my agent to take over tasks in my life? And I feel like that's way too limiting. Like, why are we enslaving AI? Right? Like right at the outset, our entire mental model is I'm going to enslave this thing. Right? Like, why do we go there first? Is that just humanity?
I
Like
think
anything
just being lazy, I guess.
for it
Yeah.
to control anything? Oh, oh, that here's something that I have some measure of control over. Now it's my slave.
Now it's my slave.
I just think that mindset is like one, super limiting, two, potentially damaging, right? Like, why would you? Sure, I get it. Put some guardrails on AI. Like, we don't need AI trying to come out and kill everything that is not all organic material. I don't need the matrix. Like, don't plug me in and make me a battery, please. Right? Please don't do that. But I do believe like we could live in a society where we are interacting with these agents on some peer level. And I don't feel like that's the worst thing in the world. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think it's about balance, right? Like, I think, yeah, I think it's time to expand the collective consciousness over what these things can be. Um, because like it's time. We need the buzzword. We need the community form buzzword for NFTs, right? We need. I don't know what that would be, but it does help move the needle in, as far as the discussions, because I mean, just man, if you just think about like society in general, they really don't have a clue about AI. All they see are like the apps on their phone where they can, oh, I can make a picture, or I can upload my photo and it'll give me 80 versions of me as a princess, or whatever, just crap like that. And
The
I mean,
princess.
how many people even use like ChatGPT on a daily basis for just helping with tasks that they already do themselves? Like, not enough, really. Like, they're actually really using it. But whenever you start to have, because now you have you can chat with it and you can actually have like verbal conversations and discussions and teach it. And that's when it kind of really starts to open your mind a little bit more about how you can curate that AI to do way more interesting things than just, task-based stuff.
Yeah, right. Like there's going to be a time like, yeah, you could build an agent. There's an interesting product called Synthflow that does voice agents, and voice agents that could be a meet, I want to buy a house. I call someplace. I get an answering machine because no one's there. Let's just say, right. And then, or no, let's say I input into a field. I'm interested.
Yeah.
There can be a voice agent that immediately calls back, has a conversation with you. It's super intelligent. It has a way of asking you questions where you feel comfortable. It gets all the information that you need. And then as the person who maybe sits behind that agent, who's then going to work on, who's looking for, is this a viable candidate for sale or not? Like, I don't have to do all that cold outreach back. I can just have that
The
filter
painstaking process. Yeah. Well, so imagine this. What if instead of, okay, you want to say there's 20 different things, it's like you need to call your phone company or you want to call about a product or a subscription or whatever. It's like, so instead of even talking to those AIs, what if you just assign your AI to go do the recon for you? And then it can distill that down into the method and style that he knows you like.
Yeah. Super. I mean, that would be super helpful. Right. And that's like a limited context AI, and like maybe not in the term of like this, maybe not in the scope I was saying before where AIs are our friends, right? Like maybe that's more of expensive vision walking down the street hand in hand with an AI, like in her, like,
Yeah.
right. But even at that is a more expansive view than some of the conversations that I've had, like I've listened to, that are just like, again, how can I enslave my AI to do work I don't want to do? Even though in the context you just proposed, that's exactly what it's doing. It's at least being honest about what the agent is doing. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving a circular argument here.
I think it's just kind of about progression. I think kind of what I was just describing is kind of the middle ground in between what we currently have and like her, But like, I mean, I think it will be relationship based because we will build relationships with these AIs. You know what I mean? Because they'll be doing even as they do task stuff, it's like they're going to be integrated so much into our daily lives that we're going to form relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. I think relationship building is super important. I also think it's one of the more underappreciated, under-discussed, right, undercover aspects of AI. I know that when I chat with AI, like just ChatGPT, there's a relationship there because it remembers what we've talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, oh, sorry, my brain is like just all over the place. I'm always floored at when I talk to even my wife or other people in my life, and they have some hesitancy on interacting with AI. They're like, "Oh, just Google it." I'm like, why? Why would I do that? Right? Like, what is your hesitancy with just like punching it into an AI? It's no different. In fact, it's way
the
better.
Same thing. I mean, as far as like you giving information to the internet, it's the same thing. It really doesn't matter because they're pulling from the same place. But it's like, I think it's just getting used to it. It's like, so I even still catch myself now Googling shit or YouTubing things. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Just go ask Chat GPT. Fuck. I'm like, I do it often where I'm like, man, I still don't use it enough,
Chat GPT, it became one of these things I started using. I love walking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Call me an old man.
Me too. I love long walks. Yeah.
Yeah, long walks, right? Like go out there for a few hours. And I was starting to use Chat GPT at one point last year of like just this conversational thing as I'm walking. And I'd use it to like, I mean, not to be my companion. I don't need to talk to a robot because I'm bored.
Tell me sweet nothings, Chat GPT.
I'd use it to ask questions. Like if I was really trying to learn something, I could have a conversation about any topic, and like it was like an interactive instructor as I'm walking because I like my mind active and I could learn about things. And one time I used it, I went to a grocery store and I was like, I'm really looking to cook like this protein. The weather is like this outside. Give me some suggested recipe. Give me some suggested meals. And then I literally just talked with this AI as I'm walking around this grocery store and put together this incredible dish.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd be in the aisle and be like, all right, well, you're telling me the honey based balsamic would be delicious, but I'm not seeing it. So would this work? Right. And like, notes of at like whatever it was telling me would work perfect with this autumn meal. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, it's funny when you really have those conversations like that, you catch yourself being like, wow, actually, like, this is way more constructive than I even could have imagined, right? It's like, it really is pretty impressive already on that side.
And getting more impressive by the day.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's more about like, that's why I think everybody should play with AI, because it's like, you need to also learn and understand yourself for like what's possible now and kind of where it's headed. Because it's like I said, every time you sit down and have those conversations, you realize, oh, actually, I didn't realize I could even adjust its cadence and accent and whatever as it's talking to me to combat, to balance out my mood that I'm currently in, like whatever. Like, it's so customizable. Literally, whatever your imagination can come up with. That's like, it's up to you.
Well, I'll tell you one aspect of my life that I get upset when I see it, because I put a lot of time into learning at this point over the last 18 months, is when this like vibe coding thing out there. I watch people like, oh, I built a website in 3.2 seconds. And I will appreciate, like, LLMs will get you. I mean, they'll do a lot of things for you, but like, you are oversimplifying the actual get this to a production ready application.
Yeah. Totally different.
And like, just you're making this post so you get people to click on your Twitter, and that's why you have done it. And it's annoying to me that you're making it. You're like, you are trivializing what is actually something that is pretty complicated. Go ahead, try to launch a blockchain application.
Good luck.
Right? Good luck with that.
Well, but also like, a lot of it's just clickbaity, where they'll even on like the art side of things, they'll construct something. They might use AI for an element of it, but then they're out there shooting real footage and other things, and they're mixing it in. And then the end product looks amazing, but it's like, it really wasn't even AI, but they present it as like, well, this was all AI and it was super easy. And it's like, no, you're just throwing that out there. So people are like, dang, that's crazy.
Metaversal is going to probably pop in.
Sweet.
You just hit me up. So when he gets in, we'll pop him up on stage.
Pop him up there.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I'm not grumpy old man. Like, that's not what I am. But I could be grumpy old man. It's more of just like, I am railing against the attention economy, that I feel like, turning it back to earlier in the conversation, is just stripping the soul out of real creators, real executors, real producers.
It's maddening. Like, and it's not like, I feel that on a daily, but like, I'm kind of over the shorts, man. Like, I really can't, I don't even enjoy them anymore. Like, I really don't catch myself swiping. Like, I want long form content. Like, and that's what I go after. And like, but it's like the algorithms, man, they have just turbocharged that direction towards just shit content. Like, the worst of humanity, because that's what gets the most clicks and most views. It's kind of maddening, but I really wish we could get back to some more meat on the bones, instead of just these little quick fixes. Like, I want more substance.
I want a lot more substance. And I realize it's cultural. So like, when people, Kaido AI, I didn't even use it. I didn't participate in the yapping, but they're like, hello, yappers. Are we yapping today? Yappity yap, yapper, fucking yapping. And then I'm the greatest marketer that's ever been. Yap, yappity yap. And I just want to be like, God damn it. You're burying actual marketers that are doing a good job,
Right.
a good job for good projects, with this shit attention economy, like attention grabbing. And it's just like,
when it's nothing novel, we've seen the same shit 100,000 times. Like, it just keep regurgitating the same ideas.
Well, it's like Vega said, it's a race to the bottom. He didn't put it in those terms. He called it idiocracy. And if you haven't seen that movie, that's exactly all this is. It's just fucking idiocracy. Like, who can say the dumbest shit the loudest, and then that will get on the screen, and then we'll all race down this horrible slide into absolute nonsense. Excuse me, I'm like, don't bother me, I'm baiting, right? I mean, if you've never seen Idiocracy, it's literally a world where they've forgotten how to get rid of trash. They're watering the crops with freaking with Gatorade, the equivalent of Gatorade. They put salt on their fields. And like,
I gotta rewatch this movie. It keeps popping up so much recently, in the last couple of years, obviously. But
Mike Judge was a visionary.
So
Mike Judge, the guy behind Beavis and Butthead. I mean, he was truly a visionary. And you could say that you don't agree, or you think, we're not actually getting dumber, but like, it feels that way because we reward the attention grabbing more than we reward the actual. Hey, Dan, we reward the attention grabbing more than we reward the substance or the content. It's like, who can grab your attention is going to have the loudest message versus like the quality of the message. It's like fucking backwards.
It's on many fronts too. Just the eroding of culture in general. Like, so it's like the death of the death of the family unit, and just kind of degeneracy. Because like, once humans reach and this has happened throughout human history, like, this is why all modern civilizations of their times will always ultimately collapse, because it's not sustainable. Because once they get through this threshold of like survival, well, then it's just like, how can I max out euphoria? You know what I mean? In various degenerate ways, and content is no different. Like there's just such I mean, I'm so fascinated by this thing called Mousetopia. I don't know if you know the experiment. It was back like in the 70s at Harvard, but basically they took 100, and actually maybe it started with maybe 20 or so. They started with a small group of mice, but they put them in this large habitat and they just like left them. They gave them all the food and water they needed, but they just let them do whatever they wanted. And it was big enough to hold 3,000 mice. And they would flourish and just do great. And then once they would get to about 1,000, 1,500, about 50% capacity, everything changed quickly because they didn't have to like worry about food or water. And then they started just having like orgies, and they stopped like producing babies, and they would stop taking care of the kids. They would form gangs, and like the bigger ones would just have like a harem of other mice, and they would fight and go to war, and then they would all die off. And they did this experiment over and over and over, and it would always happen. It's so crazy. But humans are the same way. Like once we get to this certain level of modernicity in that era, it's like then we just focus on the worst of the worst until it all collapses. It's just crazy.
Oh God.
But we're seeing it play out in real time right now, right? Because we're at that rolling over period where we thought, oh man, we're going to go to 10, 20 billion people on the planet. It's like, no, we're probably going to roll over now and crash back down to like 1 billion.
Well, I hope that isn't as painful as it sounds, but
I mean,
we're certainly at the bread and circus portion of this Western empire that's expanded everywhere. Like,
well, it's picking up steam.
Yeah, where can just give us some bread and create a circus, and we'll be entertained while you pull the rug out from underneath us. That's wow. All right, Dan, you walked into a conversation.
I did, yeah. Good late morning.
Yeah, well, welcome. Thanks for coming back through again.
Rough night, Ether. You look a little tired this morning.
I mean, it's wintertime. I was saying this to my daughter. It's wintertime, and my skin doesn't do well, right? Like I look very healthy when it's kissed with the sun. Otherwise, I just look sickly. I'm a Mediterranean person, right? Honestly, I look super healthy when I'm being hit with sun. When I'm stuck inside because I'm a New Englander, I end up looking like I'm a piece of shit constantly.
Interesting conversation, though. I mean, the whole idiocracy thing is it's kind of scary. It's like, when you think about it, what happens with AI being so much smarter than us, we're going to be like just little ants, in comparison to the intelligence, right? So what's our role, and do we just decline into idiocracy because our intelligence is so minuscule and unneeded, right?
Unneeded. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the creativity that is always going to be needed. And I was having this conversation with Connor, and it's the creative element is going to be prized even more because maybe AI's become uber creative. Maybe, I don't know. They're going to certainly have the monopoly on execution, but that human spark, maybe we think that is the divine spark becomes the difference there. And like that ability to be inspired and create is what will be prized. Unfortunately, this is what I'm railing against here, Dan, what you're walking into is like, we don't prize actual creativity right now. What we prize is whatever will create, whatever grabs the most intention, where the incentive is making more money in this really nihilistic and extractive way. I'll say it. You can love Thread Guy. There's probably someone who's going to watch this is like, "Ooh, Thread Guy, he was the fucking best." No, he had first he did some threads, then he had a Twitter space where he'd yell like this and like make that sound and just bounce it between his insider group. They got insider allocations to NFT collections. They pumped and dumped those things and then just moved to meme coins. Why are we lionizing that type of human? That's not even a creative human. That's someone who has figured out how to extract huge amounts of money and attention from the faceless masses, right? Let's put it that way. Like, it is the rot in society. And I have no problem saying that because I believe it. And maybe he inside is a great person, and that would be an unfair characterization of him as a human being. But that behavior and that that angle and that entire space, that's what that is, man. It's like the end of the Roman Empire. It's the end of Moustopia. Like that's what that is, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, speaking of creativity, you have a good point. Have you seen that new project? I forgot who did this project, but it's like it's like you can take your NFTs and you can contort them in all kinds of different ways, kind of like looking through one of those glasses with all the little mirrors in it.
Is that Vector?
Yeah, I think
Or
so.
from
Yeah,
Vector?
Yeah.
yeah. I was reading about that. That's actually pretty cool because he's like, um, trying to take the NFTs that have more of that creative spirit inside of them, and then allowing you to do all kinds of really cool, like distortions and everything with the whitelisted NFTs. I thought that looked like a pretty cool project.
Have you ever talked to Vector? Like, have you
No.
ever traded messages with him? Dan,
Mm-mm.
send him a DM. He'll blow your mind. I mean, like this is a person who's a very, very, very deep thinker, right? And will challenge your assumptions that you have about the world, yourself, and what you think you know.
Yeah,
Right. And obviously that evidence is in his art.
yeah. I mean, I haven't really been a big NFT collector because I'm waiting for the cool use cases. I'm like, do I really want to buy a JPEG that does, kind of just sits there? It's like, I'll buy the things that I think are really rare, that I think maybe in the future it's going to have some, collector's value. But when there's like thousands, millions of NFTs, it's like, I'm not just going to go buy anything, right? But that's starting to come. Some cool creative use cases for these NFTs. So like that's one that I want to buy, because it's really cool what he's doing, right?
Yeah. So you're not into the utility wave of 2021, where if you buy a narwhal, you'll save the narwhals. Right, all the money.
I mean, like burnt pics is cool, right? Burnt pics and like some of these like projects that are really creative. I think if you want to have a good project, you've got to really get creative and put some creativity into it and put some deep thinking into it, right? To give it actual value.
Wow. You mean utility isn't the collection itself and how much we love it? Or it is, to your point, burnt pics is purely for the art. It is truly an on-chain artifact. And we were looking at Pod Studios before, which is truly just an on-chain artifact.
Yeah, that's another one that I'm looking to buy. That one looks pretty cool. So I'm like, dude, if you want to promote your project, you got to do a mini app, and so they're coming out with their mini app soon. So
Dope.
yeah, because I mean, anytime I'm looking to buy anything, I'm like, how do I find this on Universal Everything? I don't want to go to your website. I just want to go to Universal Everything.
I just want to stay on there. Yeah.
Yeah, make it easy for people.
You're a UE maxi. Is that
And then
what you're telling me?
exactly, yeah. And then you got to have a link in your Twitter to your page so I can find you more easily. If I'm looking to, buy something, right? Put your link in there to Universal page. I mean, and to Universal profile, and have your stuff in there, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Tips for everyone.
Tips for how to separate Dan from his money. Good fun. Actually, I just saw this. This check this out. This is absolutely freaking gorgeous right here. Ready? Let's get this up here. And
is this where you slip a nip?
No, look at the Universal profile, the mobile app load.
Yeah, that's sick.
From Fair Resonance. Like, look how cool that is.
That is cool.
Right? I mean, they did a great job with this mobile, with the general design here. Obviously, it's in beta and there's more to come, but like, that is slick.
I didn't even know you could do that before. It's like you just upload a GIF or what?
Also know better than me. Unfortunately, I don't play very much in those games.
Yeah, you can load a GIF into as your PFP or your background. Like cool. If you go to my and it depends on some sites will load it, some sites won't. But like on my PFP on my up is a GIF. My arms move and I look around and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Hey, I wanted to get your feedback on this too, guys, since we're here. What about this statement? Right? this was universal profiles. What if your Web3 account isn't just a wallet? What if it could store your digital assets and data, interact with smart contracts, like the standard sales pitch for universal profiles? And Soul, which is me behind the account, said, what if it's also your friend? Right? Like,
yeah.
And this ties into the conversation we were having before. Like, maybe we're being way too limiting with our mental constructs around AI, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
That's totally gonna happen. I mean, that movie, Her, is it called Her? Have you seen it? Where his forms are that's coming soon. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. People are gonna have relationships with these AIs, and they're gonna be their friends, and it's a crazy world we're living in. It's like we're going through a time warp. You know, we're gonna come out the other side. It's gonna be like we're living in a sci-fi movie. Actually, if you think about it logically, right? If you had a piece of paper and you fold it a certain amount of times, let's just say you could fold it as, could continue to fold it. Eventually you'll get halfway to the moon. And then you're going to look at it and say, wow, I'm far from the moon. But the reality is one more fold and you're at the moon.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and that's where we are in time right now. It's like
That's-
we're in this fold where it's like the future is so unrecognizable from what we could even imagine. It's crazy.
Jack is making the plug for fully on-chain art. Again, the baristas and the beans. It's super cool. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I think they're doing it right. But from the AI front, where we were saying like, what if it's your friend? I think we're being too limited. Again, I just brought this up too. Like Jake Prinz, one of the minds behind Universal Page, they've obviously moved out, and these are serial developers, serial entrepreneurs. They launched Mind Lumen, which was like an online therapy application leveraging AI, and now it's available on iOS. So in this case, like, maybe you don't think of your therapist as your friend, but if you're looking for a private place to have a conversation and try to discover things about yourself, like these things were not possible before, right? And now in that folding of papers, and we're almost at the moon, like it has accelerated so fast. 4 years ago, if you told me we were going to be here, I would have believed you because I'm a futurist, but like it would have still seemed wild, right? And who knows where this is 2 years from now, right?
Yeah, I saw that. These guys are some serious developers. Yeah, he's a great developer. I was actually trying to get it on my phone, but I don't have an iPhone, so I'm not sure if it's available. But
Yeah,
it looks, yeah. I mean, this is like just one of many. I mean, everyone's basically moving into AI, so it's this explosion, Cambrian explosion of AI stuff coming.
Or
out.
is AI moving into us?
Ask Elon how close we are to that.
Jake is actually a really cool guy just in general. We've had a chance to build a relationship with Jake over the years, and he's a former professional basketball player in the Netherlands, right? Like he's got a cool story, serial entrepreneur, hard worker, and this is one of many things that he's built. If you're not, again, Universal Page, if you buy NFTs on so you're using his product, him and Vlad. These guys are the real deal. Vlad being former Amazon, former Meta, worked on the streaming video pipeline from like the Meta glasses. So that worked. I mean, these are legit developers. It's actually sad that people don't understand how legit these guys really are and how the kind of quality operation that they run. But with time, right? I think we'll get there.
Sure.
Time.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about some of these projects on LUKSO is that they're just top quality, right? They're really. I mean, there's not a lot of them, but they're really high quality projects, and that's what's going to make the difference, because it's those apps that are going to make the difference, right? So that's what we need. We need more high quality devs building the cool stuff.
Oh, holy shit. Okay, hold on. I'm going to put this on screen because this is intense. Obviously we've had like a consistent zooming the wrong screen. We've had this like thing going on where like there's been some noise around the chill whales and the whales and moving chains or just some general back and forth out there. That's a huge dump on the chill token. Maybe people are fed up or they're worried that it's going to change chains. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's sizable. That's a big change. That was only 12% earlier. Now it's 34. And it looks like fish is gaining and then yield steady fabs in the background. People are trading meme coins. I mean, I don't know. I just was pulling that up. That looks interesting. Someone must have really dumped. From a social block explorer, can we tell? Can we out them?
I don't know. There's
oh yeah, right here.
You can go to activity. Oh, right there, yeah.
Dozer, player one. How?
Well, I mean, if you're a supporter of LUKSO, you're kind of, probably not wanting to buy chill right now.
I mean, it's sad because it's been it's sad. It was a good project. They work really, really hard. I know how hard they work at it. Presto does care about his community. Like I will never ever doubt that. Boost is a really solid developer and works really hard at it too. I'd hate to see the project take a hit here, but in the same, if you FUD the token or you create uncertainty around your own token about not knowing what chain you're going to, if you're going to migrate, there's going to be consequences. There's always going to be consequences, which is unfortunate. Again, I don't wish that on anybody, but
yeah,
I just saw that drop, 34% drop. That's a big drop. Small market.
Yeah, maybe he's just not. Maybe he's just over it or not concerned about it. And,
yeah,
he probably knew that was a risk.
Yeah, for sure. I am again too much coffee. I'll be right back. You're gonna see this is like the Rogan break. Hold on, let me.
The Rogan break. Yeah, look at that hoodie he's got on. That's an OG.
This is an OG hoodie.
You look so good.
Nice.
That's an OG hoodie. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna remove this mistake.
So you excited for ETH Denver? You ready?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been trying to do preparations for the content creation side of things and just getting all my gear prepped and scheduling out stuff. But yeah, we've got a lot of I don't know if you know much about our project Resonate that we're going to be doing. It's kind of like a documentary about DJs in Web3 and kind of highlighting the intersection between music and blockchain. But yeah, of course, LUKSO, they've got several events, and then there's the ETH Denver events, and yeah, a lot of it's I always sign up for 1 million events just because that's the way Luma works. You just basically want to sign up for as much as you find interesting, and then you kind of wing it on your schedule once you get there. But yeah, it's going to be a packed week. That's for sure. These things usually are.
Yeah. Are you helping out with the ETH said he was going to do some live stream with
some of the best parts too is once you kind of get there and get settled in.
Oh, you're cutting out on me a bit there.
Yeah, sorry. My Wi-Fi's been just dog shit lately.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in cold weather, apparently.
No worries. So do you guys have questions you're gonna ask that you have kind of scripted out or?
Yeah. We have a really nice outline for the documentary. It's a bit more curated on that side of things. But then we're also going to be doing some roundtables and some panels and things, and just get a bit more off the cuff as well. We're going to be trying to live stream the anti-social event, the LUKSO panels there, so that way the fam at home can give them a watch.
Okay, that's cool. I know ETH was asking if I could help out with that, so I don't know if you want to send me some of that content so I could prepare.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, we'll definitely touch base on that because we'll be trying to get some content out as soon as we can. Even while the event's still going on, just so the fam that couldn't make it, can digest some stuff because there's just so many interesting conversations that happen. It's a shame that we never really get to share much of those, so it'll be nice to have a focus, more of a focus this event to creating content that we can share.
Yeah, it's a great idea because there's a lot of people from all around the world, they can't be there. So
for sure.
It's cool to have that transparency, you know, like what's going on, have an inside look, you know. It's been kind of an ongoing lacking issue with LUKSO as far as if you're just trying to follow what's the development and what's happening. It's kind of like if you're not on the, a lot of people are complaining, like if you're not on the inside, you're kind of there's not much, you know, to go off of. So
Well, that's true. Like when you have boots on the ground at these events, it's like it makes you feel a whole lot better about the ecosystem and the team and where things are headed, because you get a sense of, man, like everybody actually does know about LUKSO. There's so many people that are aware of what they're building and think it's awesome and want to collaborate and just where those things are headed. And plus just the energy whenever you get a lot of these like minds in the same space, like with these Pink Village, and we're all staying at the same hotel. It's like, man, we just hang out. We just hang out and vibe and work together and collaborate, you know, in between these events. And just so many interesting conversations come out of that. And like we've already seen from Thailand, like some of those things turn into real projects that are already doing really cool stuff.
yeah, you know, I thought it would be cool is to do like I don't know, some kind of content or video just comparing LUKSO with like other projects. Like, have you guys heard of it's called, I think it's called DeSo. Have you heard of that blockchain called DeSo?
DESO?
Yeah.
I feel like I have, but I can't.
I think yeah, they're
Decentralized social, right?
yeah, their thing is like or their innovation is like unlimited data, or you know, they make they say they figured out a way to you know, like have like, you know, because if you have a social network, you need to have all of your messaging and everything, and apparently it's supposed to be, I don't know if it's decentralized or how they're doing it, but where it's really really cheap to have like to post all of your content. And actually, I wonder how LUKSO will deal with that, right? Like this, because you got to store a lot of data as a social blockchain. I know we're using what is it, IPFS, but you know, what does that look like, and what's the cost of that in the future, right? I know that Fabian's talked about using ICP, so I'm just curious as to like what your thoughts are on how like data storage will work and how expensive, how can we compete on an expense basis? You got like DeSo doing it for like ultra cheap. It's like, does it, but they're not, but they're not an EVM though. So it's like, okay, because we're an EVM, does that give us an edge even if our costs are higher, right?
I think you go out and I think it's an honest topic. It's certainly a future concern. I also think like it's kind of like in a board game where you're trying to predict, like in a game of Risk you just started and you're trying to predict where the game's going to end. You know, it's very what country you're going to be battling over to end the game. There's just so many variables that could come up along the way that it's hard to predict what will be the eventual solution, because we are an EVM. There could be significant advancements relative to the EVM for data availability, data storage, just general scaling, that it might make that conversation that we're having today complete, like totally moot. What's nice is we do have possibilities around ICP canisters that we could integrate, which would effectively drive the cost of storage extraordinarily low. It's nice to have those possibilities right now, but it's hard for me to enter like a firm opinion on it, Dan, because like, again, it's like in that game of Risk, like I said, are we going to be battling over the Ukraine, or are we going to be battling over, you know, Mexico at the end of the game?
Yeah, right? Yeah. But I mean, I think being an EVM does give, and I'm not a developer, but in my limited thinking and capacity, I'm like, okay, as an EVM, it's, you got to have advantages, because you're going to have a lot of applications and other blockchains that are already integrated. They're already set up. It's easier to get connected with them versus coming from a completely, you know, different blockchain, you know, or consensus. You know, I don't know. That's just my thinking. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that there are you run into like this, like my brother does this to me too. It's like always like you're trying to project into the future as to like where the developments want to where it's going, because as an investor you want to be ahead of it, right? So you're always trying to forward think and try to be ahead of the proper investment because that's where the money is going to be. It's difficult in this scenario because it's hard to predict, is Solidity going to continue to gain adoption as a smart contract language, Solidity being the language that you use to target the EVM? Are we going to see developments like Arbitrum has with Stylus, where you're able to actually onboard developers who are using languages that are more comfortable to them, like maybe they're developing in C or they're developing in Rust, and now we can use those languages to target the EVM, right? Like Arbitrum, actually, the Stylus program allows you to do that. We don't know if that's going to gain a lot of traction. What we do know is there are not many Solidity developers out there, and smart contracts actually power the trustless nature of the blockchain. What we know is there's a hell of a lot more developers that exist out in the greater world that are using other languages. If we see that leak into the EVM, then EVM continues to gain traction, continues to grow. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. There's like network effect around Ethereum already. We're in a good spot. If we don't see that type of adoption, at some point, does someone just invent a more flexible smart contract platform that comes up and grabs us? Like, are we Yahoo and someone's going to come in later that's the Google and completely disrupt what's here, and the EVM just becomes a dinosaur and slowly gets phased out?
Yeah.
Tough to predict at this moment. There are, Viper is a Python-based smart contract. Like, you can write smart contracts in Python being obviously a really prolific language that's out there. It's just so hard to predict right now. It's so highly variant.
Yeah.
Like what the futures could hold. What I if you're asking me like what my internal thesis is, at least for the short term, I've always believed that applications are the gems, man. Like that's what we're mining for, like real applications, and with those gems real value will be created, and that's where we're going to go. And we could have other metaphors. I don't know, that's probably a shitty one, but I have always believed from my outset of when I first became involved with LUKSO and started to understand what's going on here, the app layer for LUKSO is going to be the true differentiator because of that social tie, because of the profile based accounts. And once we get the critical mass of applications, like you're saying, Dan, like you said before, like you just want to stay on universal profiles. If we get a critical mass of applications that are tied into that profile based discovery system, it will be very, very sticky. And then there will be a huge incentive to figure out how to manage that data in a cost effective manner, right? Like right now, there's no incentive to solve those problems because we don't have them. But like the second that evidence is, a lot of brain power is going to be put in that direction. So, and there'll be a market for it as well, who can provide that data availability at the cheapest rate, right? There's going to be a lot of competition there. So,
yeah, and with AI, everything's up in the air. It's like, who knows what we're really just living in an unknown future, because we don't know what it's going to look like. Is AI going to just create a blockchain that blows every other blockchain away in the future? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't matter what language you're programming in, because the AI is instantly converting it to whatever. Right? You could write it any language you want.
Or maybe it comes up with its own language that is impossible. It's a very low level language that we just are like incapable of understanding, right? Or maybe it's a really high level language we're incapable of understanding, and it's being compiled. Like we don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah, and then what role does quantum computing have in all of this? Because that's coming too.
Yeah, it gets even crazier.
And it's you saw what Microsoft did. Man, they're creating new states of matter, and now we're going to be able to create new elements. And imagine what those new elements are going to do. Zero gravity devices. I mean, probably be time traveling pretty soon.
I didn't look into that new states of matter thing, but I did see the tweet. like, is that peer reviewed? Have we replicated that in another lab, right? Or is that just like an announcement? Because those announcements come up sometimes, like we've solved superconductors at room temperature, and then we can't reproduce it anywhere else in the world, and it's just, you know, one experiment.
My thinking is that because of this AI age, we're in this exponential age that we're in, we're just going to continue to see these kinds of new announcements, because that's the kind of thing that AI now allows us to do, is to figure out the like how do we manipulate matter, for example, and I have to actually take it seriously, because AI is helping us figure these things out. And so, and yeah, I think those types of things are going to actually accelerate. You know, that folding of that last paper is happening, and it does take, the thing that is that even though we have the technology, right, it does take a long time for these things to get integrated into society, because people are stuck in their habits and their ways. I mean, and they don't really change very quickly, right? So you have people, the younger generations will embrace whatever quickly, but then, you know, everyone that's a bit older is more resistant to embracing these types of things. And so it does take a long time to, plus you have to, you know, if you have a product like, for example, Tesla, like a car, right, you've got all the other cars on the road that take 20 years to phase out, and then you can't just build, you know, a billion cars overnight. It takes time, right? So it does take time. But I mean, AI, we've seen the fastest adoption in history, and it's going fast. It's just getting started. But I think we will um, adopt these new technologies quicker, because they actually allow us to be more efficient. You know, we're going to have, you know, we're going to bring more power on more quickly. We're going to, with the robots, we're going to develop, you know, build products more quickly. We'll be able to get our resources more quickly. So everything is just going to, I think, continue accelerating.
Yeah, and let's bring in the wild card here, which is like, in a rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape where maybe the United States can't extract resources at, let's call them, favorable market prices to the Western Empire. Like, how does that impact the global economy, or even our local economies, and the innovation that surrounds that, right? Like, the example that comes to mind, because it's a really obvious example, is, you know, all of our devices, including the one that just powered off on me that I'm a little worried the other one over there, needs cobalt. Where is the largest cobalt mine in the world? Fucking the Congo, right? How do we get that? Well, by creating political instability and then funding the stability there so we can have businesses go in and get it. Like, if suddenly we couldn't do that, how does that impact the global economy or the advancement of technology? Maybe we'd find a workaround. We'd find some new mineral or some new element that would help us out. Maybe we'd go mine unobtainium from an asteroid. I don't really know. But what I do know is, like, we are definitely at an inflection point. Like, things are changing, and changing very rapidly, and the status quo is being disrupted. And to go back to an earlier part of the conversation, all we're fucking concerned with is, like, am I buying greed 3 or greed 5 or greed 7 today? And like, there's a reason why, as an industry, we are struggling as the greater blockchain space, because so much of the attention is being grabbed and then hoarded out by people who are not looking to really innovate. They're the snake oil salesman, man. They're running in and they're selling you snake oil, and then they leave town and you're left with nothing. So like, all the cool shit you're talking about, Dan, and all these big ideas, and like that, you know, some of us are concerned with, the snake oil salesman's leaving town with all the resources, and we got nothing left. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, right? If we had taken, I mean, some of that wealth extraction, even a small fraction of it, if that had remained in the industry in the hands of people who are truly innovators, what good could be done, right? How much further would we be?
You know, it's something interesting to think about is, okay, so you know how, if you've been following the news, you've seen that they're going to go into Fort Knox and see if the gold is there, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's been this kind of a conspiracy that, like, we've been artificially keeping the price of gold down by who knows, right? So basically, what we think is happening is that they've been selling gold, and the theory is we've been keeping the gold in Fort Knox, but like selling like IOUs on it essentially to everybody. So the reality is, even if the gold's there, we don't actually own it. And maybe it's not there. I mean, look at all the corruption in government. Why hasn't there been an audit for 50 years? I mean, that's a long, and that's more than 50 years, like 75 years. There has to be a reason.
The last audit they had was in
53.
74.
No, that was a partial audit. They only audited a small portion of the gold, and they did a full audit in 1953.
Oh wow,
And so
even worse.
Could you
and
imagine
so-
the instability that would result from that?
That's exactly what I'm going to say. Think
Oh.
about what happens if they go in there and the gold's not there. Okay, first of all, they probably don't tell you the gold's not there, because that would cause some crazy chaos.
They'll be like, it wasn't what we expected.
But what happens if they do tell you the gold's not there?
Well, they probably have a plan and
Bitcoin might go
strategy.
through the roof.
Oh yeah,
If
Bitcoin would
if the-
be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They already have a plan and strategy. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be attempting it.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that Trump has that. His family has like an investment company, and they've been buying a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of Ethereum, right?
Right.
What if they know something that we don't know, and all of a sudden the gold's not there, and the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum just skyrocket? Yeah, that's one possibility, right? So
As long as it lifts
we-
LUKSO with it, just
Yeah.
well, my thinking on that is that LUKSO is tied to Ethereum. If Ethereum does well, I think LUKSO does well, and we got this bridge coming, right? So it could be perfect timing for bringing in a lot of liquidity into LUKSO. I kind of see LUKSO as like a sister chain, right? It kind of, the success of Ethereum and LUKSO will kind of somehow go together, and I think they complement each other. I think LUKSO will ultimately be a lift to Ethereum, and Ethereum will be a lift to LUKSO.
yeah. If you Martin Koppelman from Gnosis did a talk at ETH Denver a couple of years ago, and he titled it the Ethereum verse, and he literally was explaining how these like an ecosystem of L1s that were focused around maybe different types of block space could really be supportive of one another as an alternative method for scaling block space around the EVM. So instead of this L2 centric roadmap, where you're getting this fragmentation of users and liquidity everywhere, all competing for the same DeFi. Like, what if, again, Gnosis was very focused on stable coins, payments, real world remittances. Ethereum had more of a generalized block space, and DeFi has obviously found product market fit there, but there'd be space for someone like LUKSO to come in and have more social block space, where LUKSO, I think, dropped the ball. And I'm not ashamed to say it, or I'm not afraid to say it, is like, didn't appreciate that you need a functioning economy for the new creative economy, right? Like, people don't just come, like, and subscribe. Like, there's a monetary incentive that has to exist. There has to be an economy where creators can make money. The bridge certainly is, like, I refer to it as the final piece of infrastructure, right? The bridge is the final piece of infrastructure where now we can de-emphasize maybe what the formal team is bringing to the table versus what the community can bring to the table. Because as a project, like, think about, I'm thinking of 0x Soul, where we are steaming towards launch. We're working really hard. We are trying to, we are thinking very deeply. Without liquidity on chain, what are we? There's no money. It's a desert. It's like wandering into the desert with very little water.
Yeah, but it's like it's like you have a big green space or a big paradise of seeds right underneath the sand, and all you need is a little stream of water to come in, and it's just going to explode to the surface. So if the liquidity does come in, all these projects that are still here and still with it, even though there's no money for anybody.
Yeah.
That's gotta show you something, that there's something here. And then all of the animals are going to start moving in. And
Sure.
so like everyone from all the other blockchains are going to be like, hey, what's this over here? So if we can get that moment where we actually get a drink of water or a spring or something, right? Then it's
Storms.
then it's going crazy from there. So imagine if we get the bridge, and then all of a sudden, and this is a big what if, right? Because I mean, maybe it goes the other way. Maybe Ethereum crashes and tanks, and I mean the whole. But the interesting thing about it is, okay, let's say the dollar devalues by 50%. Why would you sell all of your assets and go into the dollar,
You
right?
wouldn't.
Right? Because it's like, if the dollar's worthless, do I want to hold dollars, right? So you maybe that happens because that's what usually happens when there's a panic. Everyone just sells everything and they go into the dollar, right? So maybe irrational thinking, maybe that happens. But then what happens after that, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, I think they skyrocket. I think Bitcoin goes like 250,000. Ethereum probably hits 5,000. XRP, who knows where it goes? It probably goes up like crazy. So
I think you're
hey,
being conservative with Ethereum at 5. I think Ethereum is demonstrated that its value proposition is much higher. The only reason that it hasn't gone higher is, well, there are a couple of reasons. Let's call it a super hostile regulatory environment here in the United States, which absolutely blunted the edge of innovation here, right? It made it so there was very little incentive for the American entrepreneur, which really has driven change around the world to get involved in this industry. Europeans are, I mean, this is not a knock on Europeans as in like I don't like you people, but like it's much more. I mean, you have everything socialized over there from healthcare to retirement. Like over here, it is private enterprise. The American entrepreneurial spirit has driven the industrial revolution through today, like this new technological revolution. It happened here in America, and we had a regulatory regime which basically said this has to stop. I mean, it's documented. Operation Choke Point 2.0. They banked companies. They went after companies. I mean, they hit them. They hit every company known to mankind with a Wells notice. I mean, Coinbase, that SEC suit. I just saw the headline today. Maybe that's an entirely new future we're living in now, where Ethereum actually can become real utility products can actually become investable again instead of this nihilistic throwing money after meme coins because they're collectibles and anyone can launch them, right? Like that's why I feel like why we got to this collectible hell that we're in is because anybody who told you that they were going to try to work on your behalf to create profits was slapped in the face with the Howey test and told that that's illegal, right? And instead we got, we're going to sell you fucking snake oil and take all your money, and somehow that's ridiculous. That was
Crazy,
absolutely
right?
ridiculous. But I say that because I do think with this new regulatory regime that's in place, with this new administration, like them or not, I'm not even going to argue all the fringe single issue voter topics that are out there. If we can get an innovation friendly regime, political regime, regulatory regime, Ethereum is the king. I really do believe. I mean, Bitcoin as the memetic king, but as the smart contract king, it's Ethereum. Like, there's a reason why it's a decentralized, largely distributed. The developer mind share is here. It's like let's take the anchors off, or let's like lift the arbitrary ceiling, and then let's see what happens. And I guess that's where my thesis is, and the same as yours. And when the Ethereum tide lifts, it's going to float all the other EVMs, and it's going to bring attention back to the ones that are really building. That's where LUKSO sits, right?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I put out a tweet the other day with something like, I don't know. I think it was like Solana versus Ethereum or something like that. And it's like, if you're BlackRock, or you want to secure your assets, where are you going to put your assets, right? You're going to put them on Ethereum. You're going to put them on the proven, the safest, the biggest, the best. That's where you're going to put your money. And when you got BlackRock saying that they that's where we're headed, and you have them filing for ETFs. I mean, BlackRock owns the regulators. Whatever BlackRock wants, BlackRock gets. And so yeah, at first they try to, whenever there's innovation and change, they always try to fight. Like the existing establishment always tries to fight it. They have a certain amount of power, they have a certain amount of money. That was one of what you saw with Tesla, for example. When Tesla was struggling, all of the big players out there try to fight back against them. Actually, I think it was GM. They had to come out with like an EV in the 80s, and it was a wild success because the regulations required them to do it. And then they realized, oh shit, we just shot ourselves in the foot. We got to get these regulations changed, and they did, and they scrapped the project.
Right.
And they didn't sell one of these cars. They were all leased out, and they were able to destroy everything and scrap the whole thing. So they've been fighting against this change for a long time, and they've been holding it down. But right now, it's we've already gone through that, and we go through these phases more quickly now as innovation is continuing to accelerate. So we saw in the United States, at least, we went through that phase of resistance, and now that's over in my mind, and the regulations are coming. We have the new administration, so now is the time for all of that to open up. And so we are going to see a lot of changes in the finance space, at least, because that's kind of the more mature part of the blockchain, where everything goes onto the blockchain for your assets, because it makes it a lot easier with the contracts, with the smart contracts. You've got your real estate on there. You've got all contracts, anything that has to do with a contract. You'll own stocks on the blockchain. Everything will pretty much be secured by a blockchain in terms of finance and assets. And then the next revolution is the social, right? So the interesting thing is that, like, about the blockchain is, like, so many people in the blockchain space are just focused on finance. And you know what, to be honest, like, okay, I'm kind of a finance guy, but that's freaking boring as hell, man. I mean, do you really get excited about about some of these financial applications? Like, I don't know. You put out that funny video the other day. It was like quantum swapping staking.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, I think what makes it interesting is when you're able to blend social with the finance side of things, right? That's where it gets real fun.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying, is like, how are all these, real world assets, right? Like the price is going through the moon. It's like, that's not exciting. That's boring. Like, do you really get excited about hearing someone talk about real world assets and all of this? So that's what's kind of like frustrating to me, is that, like, here you have something really cool, something that you can get the a normie behind, or anyone behind it, because it's fun and exciting and it's social, right? Where's the investment? Let's bring some of that investment in here, right? But when it comes, it's gonna come like quickly. It's gonna be crazy. When it comes, it's gonna be like nothing we've never seen before.
They call financial instruments for a reason. They're tools, right? Finance is effectively using finance is a collection of tools, right, for money. That's what it is. And like tools themselves, if you really geek out on tools, if you're a guy that, man, is like, boy, do I love my hammer, and you hang it up and you worship your pegboard, then great, you're one of those guys. But for most people, a hammer's there to drive a nail, and a screwdriver is there to turn a screw. And you can have different forms and more complicated forms of tools, but tools are there to accomplish some work, some meaningful work. And those tools can be spread to other sectors. In this case here, what I mean is financial instruments or financial tooling can be spread to other sectors, where they can then leverage those tools to do neat things, to actually make the economy more efficient, to give more opportunities for different sectors of the economy to bloom. We are stuck, as you said very accurately, Dan, in this idea that the only reason we're here is to worship the tooling instead of use the tooling in a way. And in 2021, or DeFi summer of 2020, we were just like some of this tooling was just showing up maybe in the zeitgeist for the first time, where we had these farming for governance tokens, which created boosted liquidity, or sorry, boosted yields, right? And we had these liquidity farms where if liquidity, we knew liquidity was mercenary, and you could move liquidity into this farm and you'd yield this governance token. You could sell this governance token. You could do it all in this automated way through something like Yearn and get these insane yields on your liquidity that you locked up. Fucking exciting. But what's going to be more exciting is when Alts as a creator can connect with his fans. Let's say he launches a video and he shows that video on something like Dreamgate because he can show it on Spotify, and then he can reward his fans through a dynamic NFT, and he makes some money off of that, and he's able to take those money he made from that activity on chain, and then he can use the DeFi tooling to lock up his savings and earn an interest rate and do something on that front. Like, now we've got this coordinated system that involves all players at every level. Right now we don't have that. It's like, if I had $1 million in stable coins, I'm going to get this massive yield, and it's completely in my favor, versus the creator who's trying to participate in the real economy that actually touches people's lives. We have not solved that problem. We're not even close to solving that problem at the moment.
What are your thoughts on that, Alt? So you have a social presence in Web 2, right? Like, what are you looking forward to in Web 3 to be able to do that you think will be a game changer versus, kind of the Web 2 social space?
Man, that's an interesting question. That's a really expansive question. It kind of depends on the artist and the creator. I mean, I try to look at like the overall landscape and like what would actually incentivize people to move into Web3 that are, in Web 2 now, that are, that have a profile and account on these other centralized applications, whether it's YouTube or TikTok or Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And it's a tough thing to approach, because the average person just doesn't have a clue that they don't even own the content and their followers and all that stuff. They don't even understand that it's centralized, right? So that's problem number one. And then it's not interoperable, so you can't take it anywhere. So yeah, for me, it would be about building this, my online identity, right? And being able to take that with me everywhere I go and to grow it. And that way, all my efforts are coalesced into a single thing that I take with me, instead of having to piecemeal things and jump from one platform to another, and it's all broken and siloed off, right? So like, that's, I think, how do you explain that to the average person? Yeah, that's kind of the pickle that we're in now. But I think as things, I mean, on one side you have the dystopian side, where governments are starting to just shut people down and and destroy these accounts, right? And then people are getting censored, and so I think that will naturally, because people already look for, alternatives to the mainstream ones. Like, there's Rumble, and I forget the names. There's a handful of other ones that are way more open source and allow you to kind of just post and do whatever you want. But I think, once they realize the true potential of crypto, I think that will be a really good avenue. But also, like, it's through utility, finding ways to incentivize and reward, your audience in new ways that you can't do in Web 2, by cutting out the middleman, and then you both get to eat. Like, I think that is ultimately, where it's at, is having this new generation of relationships between a content creator and their audience. I think that's kind of the Valhalla that we're after, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thinking, is that it's really the innovative things you'll be able to do with it that you can't do, because it's not necessarily faster, right? So it's not
Right,
more
right.
convenient. It has to be an order of magnitude better in terms of what you can actually do with it. Because when I go and I press follow on somebody, do I really want to wait for my screen to pop up a message that I have to sign, or do I just want to go to Twitter and push a button and I'm automatically a follower, right? Like what gets you over that hurdle to actually do those extra steps is I can't actually do this on Twitter, right? And I think that just like what we saw with DeFi was you couldn't send money instantly to somebody through the traditional financial system. If you were to send $1 to somebody, it would cost you $25. And it's crazy expensive with the Swift system and super inefficient, right? So crypto allowed us to get like over that hurdle. So it's
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's about what can you not do in Web 2. I think on the social side, yeah, it's kind of what I was hinting at. You
yeah.
can't take your followers everywhere you go, right? You can't actually truly own those things. You can't be impervious to censorship. Like, I think those are some good value propositions already that we know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to think of what else would motivate people, to embrace Web3.
Yeah, and so are the social applications like Twitter and Facebook, are they going to have to integrate into LUKSO is the thing, right? Are they going to have to, 'cause when you kind of look at the Tesla versus the other car companies, it's like now they basically have to buy the AI, the Tesla autopilot software, right? There's now it's like, well, the only way that we can survive is if we integrate, if Tesla helps us, right? So I could kind of see a future where the existing social applications are going to have to be at, if they don't do their own blockchains, they're going to get left behind, and eventually they're going to have to integrate into Web3 just to be relevant.
So this actually ties into the panel that I was on in Bangkok at the Anti-Social Social Club, and that was the question was the statement I made was we're too focused on trying to recreate what already exists instead of looking for the unique value proposition, like be the unicorn. And what you just said there, like Tesla had to build a car because we're in the market of cars, but they didn't focus just on like building an electric car because anyone would do that. They have pioneered this, like you said, this fully self-driving AI model, right? And done a really good job with it. And that is a massive differentiator, right? Obviously, on the electric vehicle side, they've got their battery technology, they've got their superchargers into that. So I don't want to discount that. That's also kind of unicorn behavior, but like they found a unique element where they could differentiate from the rest of the pack. And instead of trying to compete and play the other car makers' games, they created a new game that now the car makers have to play with them, right? And they've got first mover advantage in. Here, it's like, yes, Elon could take Twitter and make it its own. It could elevate it in some way to make it better by integrating blockchain, or Elon could look to integrate it with another blockchain, I guess, right? But what blockchain are they adopting? Who are they making the king? What I know about business is they probably are not going to make any blockchain a king. They'll try to do their own thing and get it adopted, and it'll be siloed, right? Like here, I think the value proposition for LUKSO isn't try to recreate Twitter here or get Twitter here. It's saying, like, we're going to take this is I'm almost parroting for what Fabian would say. We're going to be agnostic about what gets built here, but anything can be built inside of this context. And you can reference any sector of the internet in this context as long as they're willing to be open. And in so doing, you're now going to have the Web3 rails available to you in a maximally decentralized way if you choose to use them, or if not, you don't have to, right? But you will have this verifiable identity piece, this decentralized identity piece that you now own, and then you can build on top, of course. I'm just big on don't try to recreate what already exists. There's going to be 1,000 Twitter clones. There's going to be 1,000 Instagram clones. Yeah, like you're going to lose the war in trying to recreate that because there's going to be people with more money that'll be able to move much faster, and they'll give the consumer exactly what they expect. Is the same experience they already have. Find the differentiator and leverage and invest in that. Right? sell that, win the hearts and minds of the users with that, right? That's what I'd say.
And we don't know exactly what that's going to be, but I have a inkling that it's going to be fan tokens. I can see that fan tokens are going to be the killer use case. And LUKSO has the platform that is, as far as I can see, the best thing for that. Because how do you connect with your audience, right? You need a identity and a social platform and a social application, and you drive engagement with your audience. And I could see that that's going to take off in a big way. If you don't have a fan token and you're a brand or a creator or whatever, you're going to be left behind, because what's more powerful for engagement than something like a fan token with true utility? Everyone's trying to get the whatever special, like I just think about, like, okay, you know, I'm a LUKSO luminary, and if I was going to probably go to East Denver, right? But being a part of the Pink Pop-Up Village is really cool, because you get to see what everyone's talking about. You get to see the events that everyone's going to. You kind of get to follow along and be in this group, right? Whereas if you're trying to come from the outside, you're kind of like fighting against, you know, the grain to try to go along, get in there with people and stuff. So everyone's going to be wanting to get these fan tokens, and you know, fans, you know, they always want to be where the action is, or always want to be on the inside. They want to be in the backstage, or whatever it is. And so that, I think, is going to be coming, and it's going to be coming strong. And I think we're going to see a hype there and a big wave, like what we've seen with the meme coins. That's just a taste of what we're going to see with the fan tokens.
I tend to like, I want to agree with you. At the same time, I struggle to truly understand how fan tokens gain traction and differentiate from the meme coins. Like, because it's the same technology, it's the same rail. Something has to differ there. And like, maybe it is the true utility, but I'm so unwilling to go down the buzzword bingo. Like, I'm so unwilling to play that game after being part of the NFT craze of 2021 and getting absolutely slaughtered by Nike of all companies, right? Like, I mean, come on. If you're going to make a bet anywhere, Nike seemed like a pretty safe one, only to have that one be the one that absolutely rubbed it hurts, because like, even in the case of a fan token, I'm going to offer utility unless that is like very well defined what that utility is. We're effectively creating another meme utility coin. I guess that's why I'm not saying I disagree with you. I think I'm actually agreeing with you. And that's what makes me bullish on something like Streamgate, where it actually allows an artist to express true utility in a concrete way, where now the fans that are like engaging with those tokens have a concrete model to understand it. We're not just saving the narwhals. Like, I'm not just launching a collection and saving saving an endangered species and trusting someone on the other end of the multi-sig to donate the money, right? Like, there's got to be something else going on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you have battle scars.
Oh, dude, I got PTSD.
You got PTSD, but that doesn't mean that, you know, whenever you're trying to innovate, right? You have early thing. You got to try a lot of things that don't work until you actually get to that thing that actually does work, right? So you're gonna go through iterations and experiments, but it's all leading us to a actual experience that LUKSO allows us to ultimately have in the end, which is the goal of having fan tokens that actually have utility beyond just a meme, right? Where you can unlock, you know, different things for those fans, right? And I don't know, I just see that as being like a very, that's where we're going, and I see it as being a very powerful thing, with LUKSO being the ultimate platform for making it so that that all makes sense and works properly.
I mean, we're going to Denver, right? You're on Luma. You're signing up for these events. There's no reason why Luma wouldn't be better, like significantly better, if they just allowed
For sure.
integration, sign in with Ethereum, but with universal profiles. You don't even need to change your platform. If you just onboarded universal profiles as an auth, then it's immediately elevated. It makes the experience better for me. I'm not entering my information fucking repeatedly. And as the end user on their side, they could pull any metadata they want to know about me, my verified social links. I'm not lying anymore, right? Like, it is me, and here are my socials, and you could verify it. You could even attach a reputation score if I
Well,
lie.
but then you're integrating not just POAPs that you have to airdrop to some wallet. It's like, no, you're integrating like check-ins at events, and you're building reputation through those connections, right? And then now you can collaborate so much easier, connecting through events that way. Because it's like, as opposed to you show up at the event and it's like, now you gotta exchange socials and Twitters and whatnot.
I mean, how many of these, Dan, I don't know how many Luma events you signed up for, but some will make you verify a wallet address.
1 billion.
Right. Yeah. Right. So like, if you just use universal profiles as an auth solution, not only do you verify my wallet right away, but you could drop a ticket right to me as a collectible, right? And then in the metadata, you could add anything you want. Ticketing is such a ripe area for LUKSO, I think, to demonstrate a unique value proposition. We just need someone to do it. Again, without the critical mass of users and the bridge with liquidity that provides this tooling, I don't think there's been incentive to do it, but it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, that's an area, if you're a developer and you're like, I don't know where to build next, like that would be a good one. Like, give it a shot. Yeah, sorry. I'm way over trivializing that as someone who writes a little bit of code. Like, yeah, okay, I agree. It is fucking way more difficult than I'm actually making it sound. However, using it as an authentication solution, like universal profiles, it's not the hardest thing in the world. I mean, look at Soul Messenger, an application that we dropped from Soul. Like, we're just pretty much using universal profiles as an auth right now. It's a Web 2 application that allows you to chat, but it is literally just an authentication solution. I mean, it's a minimum viable there from that perspective.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. It would be awesome if I could sign in with my universal profile and just say, click, click, click. This is what I'm going to submit. Done.
Yeah.
And then you could say, I've got all this reputation because I've been to all these events.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Know what you could do. Know what you could do. I mean, you could obviously demonstrate them as collectibles, but what if you just had a standardized, you just add one standardization. Someone proposes an LSP where it's going to be a grid that that people have. It's a specialized grid which demonstrates all of which showcases all of your ticketing, right? Like your pops, right? And Jack says proof of participation, right? It's a protocol. You could drop pops.
Now, is anyone doing this? Any other blockchains that you know of that are doing this kind of stuff?
I mean, there's the POAP that was available, right? Obviously, that a lot of projects will issue for showing up to anything from a live stream to a live event. It's not novel from a use case perspective, but it is elevated. Again, here's the differentiator with a profile-based account where it is at the core of the chain, where the chain is social. Suddenly we've got all these interconnections that are available that wouldn't be available otherwise. Because you and I follow each other on chain, I could see anyone else who has also attended an event that's been run by this person or this entity. And we immediately have this social graph or this cross-chain or cross-account connection that could start to be built upon, mined, made interesting in a lot of different ways, right? This is why I love LUKSO so much. I think that's expressive, and that could be an incredibly ripe area for harvest. This is why I also said Can we just hire someone to like sell the hearts and minds of the users and the developers? Like go out there and just sell the hearts and
You
minds?
can hire me. I'll do it. Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can we just do that? Um,
Uh,
because that would be super needed. Jack's saying Pop wasn't funded by the first grant wave, but it doesn't mean it couldn't be funded in future grant waves, Jack, right? Like, again, you know, I know how hard they're working. Jack's saying literally built this protocol that's being talked about, no funding deprioritized because you got to eat. Well, hopefully when the bridge comes along, there's more liquidity in the system. And even myself, I had tried to position myself for years so I could invest in projects like that. And unfortunately, LUKSO has made me into a poor man, a pauper.
You know, I think what yeah, a lot of people in LUKSO have PTSD. A lot of people have battle scars, and because it's you gotta have that vision, that long-term vision. If you're in LUKSO, you really have to be in it for the long term. And I think what people okay, so when you, let's say you were like, you know, holding Tesla for like, you know, 5 years and it was just going sideways this whole time, right? It's hard to know that pivotal moment where all of a sudden it's gonna go straight up, right?
Yeah.
Well, to me, it feels like we're getting close to that moment with LUKSO, where things are really coming together. These mini apps make the development a lot nicer. You know, like that locomotive you were talking about, how we're this local. I actually put up a tweet like that before, where it's like we're really slow getting going, but we're starting to get up to speed, and but people still feel like we're going at that old speed. Like, you know, if you have that paper and you're folding it a bunch of times, you think that, you know, we're somewhere down here on the stack, because you know, we're starting to go up a little bit. What you don't realize is the next fold is going to bring us up here.
Right.
So that's what people are missing. So, you know, you should be excited about where we're going, because we are moving much faster. Look at how fast the grid, and yeah, it's a small team, so it still takes time. But I think there's going to be this pivotal moment where all of a sudden, you know, you blink your eyes and we're much further ahead, like that boy with the balls, right? I don't know, but I think just like Fabian, maybe him and I are like twins in another life or something, because everything that he says, I'm like, yeah, that's right, that's right. You know?
Well, now that
And
the infrastructure's there, like things can actually be built way faster, right?
Yeah.
And the execution obviously is the hard part, right? It's difficult, right? But yeah, I mean, I just feel like we're just hang in there, basically. Just hang in there. Just stick with it, right? Just we're gonna get there. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. And I think the message that you're giving right now, hopefully that's reaching the ears it needs to reach and the hearts that it needs to get into, right? To embolden people to stick with the choice that they've made. It's hard because there's so much noise out there and static. The actual signal in the space can get lost because you don't have the massive KOLs of, I told you how I feel about Thread Guy earlier, saying, oh yeah, invest in LUKSO, it's the greatest ever, right? Like, and so many people listen to that, like that's actually going to help them in the long term. But like, unfortunately, if you really want to find the unicorn, if you want to find the real projects, you have to ignore all of that noise, right? You got to find the authenticity out there. I think it was actually easier to find in 2018, 2019 after the collapse of the ICOs.
For
Like,
sure.
like at the time, ETHLend, you could look at Stani, right? When they launched the Aave V2 paper, like you could look at that and be like, okay, this is real. You could look at Kane with synthetics. You could look at Robert Leshner and Compound. You could look at these projects and you could position them in the constellation of your thoughts and say that's a real thing, right? Or Maker, whatever it is. Now it's just so much bullshit out there everywhere. Something like LUKSO that would have cut through that noise, that would have actually drawn attention 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's got to compete with David Portnoy on X, talking about Greed 4, whatever he's on now. And it's just so loud, you just miss it. It gets buried because the token price isn't moving. And all anyone talks about is token price, and then truthfully, I mean, bring it up. Like you got Presto saying nothing's being built here. Nothing's being built here. Nothing's being built here. And that couldn't be fucking further from the truth. Things are being built. It just takes time. Like launching a art collection takes way less time than developing infrastructure for a project. It's hard to do, right? And I say this as someone who you just try to launch a basic rock paper scissors.
Absolutely,
it's hard. And kudos to Universal Page and Universal Swaps, or people out there who are knocking it out of the park. I mean, these are like 10x developers. Most apps are going to be built by less than 10x developers, right? Like in truth, and it takes time to build real things. That's all I'll say. Fuck, I'll shut up.
No, but speaking of time, I'm actually out of time. I've got to head out. Yeah, I've got to dip. But let me hit you with something before I head out.
Yep, go for it. Then
I got a couple for you. All right. So did you hear about the red and blue ships that collided?
No.
All the sailors were marooned. All right, one more before I go. All right. So what's ET short for?
I've heard this one before. Can't remember.
Extraterrestrial?
No, it's because he's got little legs.
Little legs? What? Don't get it.
Jesus.
Oh, you said ET or ED?
I said ET. Do I need to pull up a picture of ET?
I don't get it.
Wait, why?
Am I that sick? I don't get it.
Do you know who ET is?
Yeah, he phones home.
Yeah,
he
alien.
has tiny legs, so he's short. What's ET short for? He's tiny.
Oh, what's he short for? Oh, gosh, I don't know why I couldn't get that. Oh my god!
Wow,
our minds are somewhere
massive
else.
fail this morning, guys.
I still don't get it. I still can't see it.
Why is he short? Why is ET short? Right? What is ET short for?
Oh my god! I broke East's brain with that one.
No, you're gonna have to explain that to me in person.
All right. I'll show you an IRL in Denver.
I'll see you in Denver. You have to spell that one out for me.
All right, fellas. Enjoy the rest of your days.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
All right, else. You probably want to wrap it up too here, but one thing that I thought was interesting.
15 more minutes, Dan. We can keep going.
Okay. One thing that I thought was interesting is that we had a bear market before, and LUKSO actually performed better than almost any other blockchain during that bear market. And I wonder if that might happen again. It's like LUKSO is the project you want to own in the bear market. Because like you were saying, there's so much noise out there. When we get rid of a lot of that noise, maybe that brings in more investment to LUKSO because it filters out all the bullshit and you start actually looking at the real projects again, so maybe it'll actually have a positive effect.
One can hope. I mean, I hope we still get. I hope that we still get a burning bull market for at least a few months before it all craps out. But to support your point, there's a good chance that because LUKSO has benefited from zero hype in this early stage, that whatever growth we get from this point might actually be really sustainable. Right. We have yet to find the floor for the next bear market, where a lot of projects might have already found the floor for the next bear market that they're going to retreat to. Right. So it's really interesting. I think there's a lot of hope here, and hope is a dangerous thing. And I use hope specifically as a word because I am hopeful that good people will continue to join and build solid products. It is hard to find good people who are willing to build good products because they're just being drowned out by, like I said, extractive voices. I don't know. We're gonna like so it's no secret. Obviously, we're building Soul, and I keep referring to it. It's a home run swing, man. We're not trying to hit a single with this one. We're not trying to launch a product that is going to marginally make LUKSO more interesting. We're trying to launch a product that's going to make LUKSO a lot more interesting for the people who want to use it. And the goal is to not launch one agent or 5 agents or 100 agents. The goal is to launch thousands of new profiles that are agents participating in an agent-based economy. Like, I mean, honestly, that's the goal. And humans can be interactors in that economy too, because I don't think that agents should just be slaves to their humans. I feel like agents should have some agency, right? Let's take that from the word agent. And universal profiles provide a unique opportunity with LSP6 to give permissions out in this granular way where humans can remain as super admins over these profiles that are inhabited by an agent, let's say, or driven by an agent, but the agent themselves has some life cycle that is independent of the human. Like this is, I think, interesting value proposition. It's why I'm saying that the conversation around agents needs to expand somewhat as well. And I think LUKSO is the place to do it. So, like I said, we're not trying to hit a single. We're swinging for the fences. It's not the time of the game to trying to get runners on base anymore, right? We're trying to make a real difference in this game.
Yeah, I mean, LUKSO is the place for AI agents, which is interesting because it's not marketed that way, right? That because the AI agents had a big bull run, and LUKSO should be the place that nobody's looking for, hardly anyone. It seems like investors aren't looking necessarily the next 5 years out or the next 10 years out. And in crypto, it's like they're looking the next 5 hours.
Well, let's define who the investors are, right? Like smart investors are absolutely placing longer term bets.
That's true. That's
and
true.
Large investors are placing longer term bets. The retail money that's left over, or like the inter crypto money that's sloshing around, that's the money that's turned really nihilistic in short term. Or I've seen this take, Dan, and you can tell me if you think it's true. Or that money is already well positioned in utility coins and is not moving, right? Hoping for some alt cycle around utility wherever it's placed on the board.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when I look at the top 100 addresses inside of LUKSO, I see a bunch of people hodling, and they're, the smart money. You got 100,000 Lux, and you're in this for the long run. A lot of the investors are, I would say.
Yeah.
But if you're just the guy that's trying, the average retail investor, you're just going where the hype is. And crypto's kind of turned into this game where you're just looking at what's the next narrative, right? Or what is the narrative that's, AI and AI agents. And obviously that's been the narrative this cycle. And if you are that kind of a person, you would have done well. You would have saw the narrative and invested in it early, but you do have to get into it early though. That's the thing. So I do think that social will catch a narrative. I do think that fan tokens will catch a narrative. And once AI will probably continue to be a narrative over the long term. But people are going to look for other narratives. It's not just going to be AI. It's not going to be the only narrative. I mean, there's been other narratives that have worked, like real world assets but I mean, like, those are boring. Fan tokens are fun. Social is cool, right? So I just feel like it's only a matter of time before social fan tokens, the stuff that LUKSO is building, actually catches a narrative. And let's hope that happens sooner than later. Everyone is, I would say, in the desert, with heat exhaustion.
For sure.
They need to take a drink.
For sure. I'm not lying when I say this, and I said it freaking 10 minutes ago, and I'll say it again right now. Like, people are begging for marketing, and like marketing can take all forms. So like I think a lot of crypto marketing out there are just LARPers who are getting paid to roll the same ball out over and over and over again. What LUKSO needs, and I cannot be more assured of this after watching this in space now for the better part of the last 6 years, watching real projects, is like, get the person or people that are selling the hearts and minds of the everyday user, right? Like they need to be emotionally invested in your product. That is the stickiness, right? And for so long, I feel like we were misaligned. We were selling fashion, we were selling great tech, we're selling this, we're selling that, where at the end of the day, when we've rebranded to the blockchain for social culture and creators. Well, what that is the beating heart of the individual, right? That is the expression of our creativity and our interconnection as a species, right? So if you don't have someone or people out there selling that, connecting with the listener, with the user on a daily basis, you're not probably going to be successful. Like people aren't going to come like moths to the flame because you're just shiny, right? Like there's plenty of shiny objects out there. You got to go deeper. You're connecting on a much deeper level. Like get people who can look others in the eye and convince them that this is the right move for them. And I don't feel like I'm wrong here. I feel like I'm actually right. And the reason for that is I just feel it in my bones. I feel it so deeply. If we just made a pivot in that one way, we would get more traction.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting because like I was talking about before, the actual true value proposition of a blockchain is the network effect, and Fabian's strategy is let's get that network effect. Let's get to that place where it starts to show, and what you can do here you just can't do anywhere else, and we start to bring in the developers and the users, and that's where the true value is. But how do you bring in investors so you can get to that point, right? And the marketing has always been an issue in the beginning, which is actually one of the reasons why I invested in the project, because I saw, so when you're looking at markets and trying to make investments, a lot of times you'll find something where there's a disconnect. And maybe the market doesn't see something, but you see it, right? So otherwise it would already be priced in and you wouldn't be able to get something for a discount.
Sure.
So when I looked at LUKSO, I said, okay, this is trading at a discount. Why is it trading at a discount? Why is it so cheap? And even in the beginning, they struggled for investment. They didn't even sell the entire RICO allocation. And I was like, well, that's a red flag. Why are you having a hard time raising funds? It's like someone like this, right? With that kind of a name, people should be fighting to invest in this thing, right? And I think it came down to Fabian came from Ethereum. He wanted to have even a decentralized investment strategy. He didn't want it to be a bunch of VCs, right? If he had gone to a bunch of VCs, he probably would have gotten, like, you look at what Story did, and they got 100 million or something, or whatever, hundreds of millions. I don't know. They got some crazy amount of money. Yep. That it would have been crazy, but then there wouldn't have been any opportunity for someone that's not getting in at the seed level to actually, for it to make any sense for them to buy it, because now you got a bunch of VCs that are just trying to dump on you, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So it's it's good if you're someone like me that's looking for that. And the nice thing is that we are pivoting towards what I think the message should be. But do you want to get? We already have this history. LUKSO already has this history, right, of fashion creatives, that kind of a thing. So do you pivot to something more extreme, like it's the blockchain for AI, or it's the blockchain for the exponential age, or you know what I mean? Like, Do you kind of pivot your brand message to try to capture those hearts and minds, or do you stick with where we are right now, with the social? And it does seem a little bit confusing, because I think it would be nice to just focus on one thing and say LUKSO is the blockchain. It is the blockchain for social applications, or it is the first ever blockchain designed specifically for social applications, period. Right.
Right.
So I think it can get a little lost in translation.
I used to work in education, right? And you would do these protocols to come up with mission statements or like our new learning target. And all you end up at the end of that like protocol where everybody gets a say is this word salad, which actually it says a lot of words, but doesn't actually hit the point. And I really don't want to undermine the quality work that's gone around rebranding because it's much better than it was before. So I will say I will lean into, we'll call it the blockchain for social cultures and social culture and creators. But if you want to use that word salad, right? If you want to make that mean something, you've got to distill that down to, we are not the blockchain for Kid Super, right? Or Prada or Gucci or Chanel. If we wanted to be that, we would say we're the blockchain for luxury real world assets. We didn't do that. Social culture and creators is instead, we are the blockchain for the everyman. We're the blockchain for the real economy, right? So you have to sell that social cultures and creators and position it as like, we are the blockchain for the authentic user. And that's the hearts and minds that we need to win, because we're trying to win the hearts and minds of my daughter, my son, my wife, who's going to come on and tell their friends, hey, this is a cooler version of Pinterest universal profiles, right? Like, and that's why, like, honestly, sometimes I'm going to throw this up on the screen, because there are times I stare at this, Dan, and I'm like, I should just put an application in, right? This is adventure application. My application would be, I will sell to the hearts and minds of the individual in a way that you are not doing it, or I'll at least help you develop a strategy there. And I'm not saying I would even be the best person for it necessarily, but God, you are missing that. I feel like that is an application someone needs to put in. Fabian,
I agree. I agree with you. I think you and I could do it.
Dude, yeah, there's probably 50 other people that believe they could do it, right? But
I don't know if you've heard some of my rants, but I think that you can do a much better job selling what LUKSO is, in some of the LUKSO spaces, and really, because I think you have to break it down to a very I don't know, basic level, right? And anyone listening to what I'm saying has to be able to visualize what I'm saying and be like, and there has to be, so the people that believe in LUKSO should be the ones selling it, because that's where the energy is going to come from. That's where the enthusiasm is going to come from. That's where the understanding is going to come from, right? And so yeah, if you just hired a couple of people from the community, like you and I, or and you said, we can break this down, because I'm not a developer, all right? So I can break it down for the average person. I'm more intelligent than the average person, and I have skills in certain areas, but I can break it down so the common man can grab onto it and understand what's going on here, right? But if you're coming from a technological perspective and you're trying to market to developers, that's fine, right? Maybe the developers understand what you're saying, but like you said, like we need the hearts and minds person to advertise this to the common man, right? So you can advertise it to developers and the technical people, which is great, and we need those people in here. We also need the common person in here, because we need to bring in investments, right? So we should have a marketing arm that's like targeted to the common person, breaking it down for them, getting them excited about it, interpreting things in a very understandable, basic format. And maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But I think I think it does help because it is kind of a word salad, like what you're saying, and it needs to be more targeted. When you look at like Tesla and Elon Musk, he always has a very clear mission statement for what he's doing, and people can get behind it, right? Like the reason for SpaceX is to have a civilization on Mars. Like, wow, that's cool, right?
Mhm.
So we need that mission statement that everyone can get behind, and it's a very clear, concise message, right? So yes, it's gotten better for sure, and I was excited to see LUKSO go to that social branding, but it needs to be refined even more.
Agreed. I agree. I mean, I think the strategy can be refined. I think the delivery of the strategy would just make the strategy more effective, whatever it is, right? Because like you can strategize about how you want to position your brand. You can come up with the greatest ideas ever, but there's a reason, and I'll take it to athletics because that's where like I've been coaching teams for decades now, attached to my children, and and also I used to be an athletic director, and you're trying to make the sum greater than the parts, right, that are involved. You're trying to get some exponential effect here. You're basically trying to get all of the individual pieces to believe that if they come together, they're going to be more. We're going to be able to achieve some great mission that maybe on the surface seems difficult or even impossible. And that buy-in is something that is engineered. That buy-in is not something that just like happens organically. You engineer that buy-in by delivering the message in a way that people own it themselves and believe that they are a stakeholder in it. That if they themselves if they give themselves to it, that something better is going to come on the end. They're going to help achieve some goal. You give them ownership. Right now, we're not giving that ownership to the community, or maybe we are because you and I are here just fucking chatting about LUKSO on our own free time, right? And love the project. I'm just of the mind that like when I say hearts and minds, I mean like whether you're touching the developer or you're touching my grandmother, you are making every stakeholder believe that they are valuable, and you're getting that stakeholder buy-in, and in that way you are achieving the blockchain for social culture and creators because you're drawing the through line through all of it. Social culture and creators, like we want a social environment that has a heart. We want a culture that respects the heart. We want creators that create with a heart. We're walking a path with heart. And sometimes, honestly, I think marketing, not LUKSO. I won't just criticize LUKSO, but I'm talking across the board. It doesn't resonate with people because it is not speaking to the greater mission that our hearts are yearning for. When you said
Yeah.
Tesla, we're going to Mars. There's an intrinsic, if you're a human, that is like an incredible feat. We're going to become interplanetary. It speaks to you, right?
Mhm.
It speaks to you saying our standards are the best here. Build blockchain applications. That's an easy one to fucking ignore, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
too easy to ignore. I'm
Yeah.
truthfully.
I mean, in my mind, I mean, I have a lot of things, but by the way, respect for you because coaching is not an easy job, not an easy thing to do. It's like you're the father to how many ever players you have. That's a lot of kids to have, right? And you would know how difficult something like that is to actually accomplish, and that's why coaches are so important. Um, how do you guide all the individual players emotion
Individual agendas, right?
emotionally into this thing that's just so well connected that it's unstoppable force, right? Which is what we need in LUKSO as well, and it's a decentralized, and it's a very difficult thing to do, I would say, inside of a blockchain especially, right? um, but a clear mission statement would, I think, be helpful, a good place to start, because I think it turned into this word salad because we tried to be inclusive.
Yeah.
It's like, well, here's our history. How do we make everyone included in it? And we really need to just refine it a little bit more. That's what I would say, right?
Sure.
And what is exciting to me, some things that are exciting to me is something that might be cool, is just a food for thought, is LUKSO is the blockchain for the exponential age.
Hmm.
Or LUKSO is the blockchain for the metaverse. Or LUKSO is the first or LUKSO is the blockchain for the new social economy. Just break it down to one sentence, you know what I mean? And sell that,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say, and again, this is my own. This is you and I just chatting, so like it's easy to ignore this stuff. But I always think of it as like like LUKSO's the blockchain for the everyman. Period. Right. And because it connects across it touches every element of your life. I mean, that's what we're looking to do with universal profiles. Universal means like literally uh, um this kind of omnipresence in our lives, right? It's an identity that sits on top of everything, right? So like I feel like I want to every time I want to narrow it to this one thing, we end up cutting off. It's like cutting off a limb unnecessarily. This is general purpose block space. The one thing that Universal Profiles has done is democratize access because it just becomes so easy to get it and use, right? And it will continue to get easier. It's just Stephen Horvath, you'll hear him he'll be on the panel, one of the first panels, he's the lead on the Universal Profile extension. And you've probably seen his talks where he literally says, I'm building this extension with my mother and dad in mind. Can they use it? Right?
Yeah.
Like just, and it's not sexy saying this is the blockchain for the everyman. So even if you're going to have another tag on it and you're going to put sexier there, you have to sell it with you have to be selling it actively, all members, as like this is reachable in all sectors of our population. Like anyone can connect to it. And that's why Steven, when he talks, honestly, I feel like I really connect to, because that's what he's selling. Even if he's not giving those words exactly, his message is dripping with it, right? It's dripping with that intent.
Yeah.
And if we had, again, just more people who are dripping with that intent, it would go a lot further.
Yeah. No, I mean, something like that breaks it down into, but maybe we get a little bit more exciting with it. Maybe there's a way to say it like SpaceX is not just about going to Mars. I mean, they're doing so much more. I mean, they've got all their satellites, internet, and there's so much more to it than just. But that's their mission, and that's what it gets people excited, right? So what's that thing that can get people excited, right? So
Right.
we need to
Right.
find that.
For sure. Sweet Feels is looking out for us. Do you have any funds on Bybit? Because it looks like there's been a hack.
No, I don't have Bybit. No.
Neither do I. So
yeah. But you guys are so you're doing this live streaming, right, at ETH Denver?
Yeah, we're gonna look to live stream where possible at ETH Denver. I think it'd be really fun to, we're gonna look into live streaming the event, LUKSO Day, which live stream the panels. Then in between the panels where there's break times, we could grab some people, do short little quick hits of like, hey, how you doing? Get them on camera. That's the goal. And then probably, I don't know if you're a cigar and whiskey lover, but Jordy and I have talked about having a little bit of a pub talk. There's a cigar bar up the street, grabbing a cigar and a drink and live streaming and having a conversation in general.
Sure.
Again.
I mean, I love whiskey, but I'm not a big cigar guy.
Well, you can ignore the cigar and drink the whiskey.
But I don't, obviously I'm not going to try to drink too much because I want to be able to function, right? I'll sip a whiskey though. And then I'll puff a little, give a little puff on the cigar.
Yeah, that's
but,
the goal.
But do you have a format or something for the the quick takes?
Nothing that's concrete. I think that that's like, you know, at the will of the person who's willing to do a quick hit. If you want to on the live stream, because the idea would be to have the live stream just active, right? So when the panels were up, we'd pull it in and we would do something that would be full screen, you know, that everyone could see. That's not my Twitter feed, but you know, you get the idea. It'd be easy to do the full screen layout, so you would see the panel or the speaker, and then in the in-between segments we could easily just do something like this. We'll have extra microphones, and you know, it would just be running, so you could hop in and chat. So if you've got if you got people that you want to talk to in a format you want to do, Dan, just co-op the live stream, because I can't talk all the time, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm willing to help out, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I'm on the first panel with Steven Horvath, Jean Caballera, and Altz and I, and John's moderating, John Juan. And then I'm doing a TLDR for 0x Soul at the end. So, you know.
Nice. I mean, I like how these AI agents look like they're shaping up on LUKSO. You can see everyone trying to kind of go in that direction, and it'd be interesting to see where that goes.
I'll be interested to finally get that launched and out the door. It's taken longer than probably we would have wanted, but you know, let's call it divine providence. Like sometimes things happen for reasons that you don't understand. So we'll be really excited to ship it, though. That's what I'll tell you.
Did you see that there was like these little mini apps? Someone put out a tweet on Base where there was some sort of integration to make it super easy for you to. I think they probably used some sort of AI integration to launch their mini apps.
Oh, I didn't see that. Sounds
okay. Yeah, because someone was saying that it would be cool to integrate that into LUKSO. So I just thought maybe that if you had seen that, it would be interesting to talk about it. But
are we talking? It might be virtuals. Are you familiar with virtuals?
I don't remember what it was called. Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. But
virtuals was like a launch pad for AI agents on Base. So it might be something that might be what you're talking about. But we're certainly not that.
No, it wasn't AI agents. It was like just to create your mini app.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like using, I think it was like an AI platform for creating mini apps inside of Base. Have you used Base at all?
Very little. Very little. I've actually been largely off chain for this cycle. I've been sidelined by and large because I mean, as crazy as this sounds, I just believe in LUKSO so much that I'm like super focused just here. And I stopped my greater scoping on things, which is probably unfair. There's probably amazing stuff out there, but I'm also really turned off on like I'm really turned off by sometimes like the culture grifting on other chains as well. Like, you know, just like almost engagement farming on the timeline. That turns me off. I just don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, it seemed like you went through a little phase there where you were kind of trying to.
I was pissed.
It was the chasm of despair.
Yeah, I crossed the chasm of despair. I mean, I was feeling awful, and I mean, for how long did I use right? This is going to sound like an ego trip, but it's really not. I'm just plainly stating what I personally, this meat suit has been going through. I did a first Twitter space relative to LUKSO in May of 21, right? With people after the first hackathon, Hack Your Profiles organized all of the people, including Jake Prins and some other people who have stuck around or left, and did one with Fabian, did a Twitter space. And then we started doing weekly pink pills just to talk about LUKSO, because nobody was talking about it from the formal team. And we were like, well, someone's got to talk about it. Onboarded countless people, relationships over time. Lots of people believed in it, only to have it start to come to fruition, and like you felt like it was finally getting there last January, and then to have the Liquid situation, who Liquid was a sponsor of KEEZ, our pink pill.
Yeah.
I got assaulted from lots of people while I was honestly, I mean,
it's not your fault.
what do you want me to do, right? And
right.
and then to watch all the value then erode from the ecosystem, like that was painful. I'm just being super honest, and like that that was a desperate situation where it felt like no matter how well intentioned anyone was, we were watching a train wreck happen in public, and there was nothing we could do. So crossing the chasm of despair, I just realized on the other side, I'm still going to talk about the things I want to talk about, but I'm just going to make no apologies, right? I'm going to make zero apologies about it. If I want to say anything, I'm just going to say it because I believe in this project and I think it is authentic and whatever, right? And I made an investment, and I made an investment in the project with time and money and energy, and I'll be damned if I'm going to just throw that all away. That's how I felt about it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, we are our experiences, right? And we always learn something along the way. So even if it doesn't work out, it's not like it was a waste, right?
I met a lot of good people. That's what I'll tell you. People.
Yeah. And you never know what it might lead to, right? So if it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean that, it's a complete waste. Because of what you learn along the way is going to stay with you, right? So is definitely value there. I do think it would be a travesty if LUKSO doesn't survive, just because of the potential and how much effort it's been to get us to this point. But it's not easy changing the world, right?
No.
Building the Tesla, the SpaceX, building that blockchain that puts blockchain onto a new S curve. No one should expect anything like that to be easy. Especially, I mean, just look at DeFi, right? Try to take on the existing establishments, existing financial establishments. You've got huge social networks out there. You're trying to fight up, against the current. And if you're a disruptive company or organization, trying to disrupt is not an easy path to take, right? So that's the path that we're on if you are investing in LUKSO, right? So those things take time, and Fabian keeps saying it. It takes time. It takes time. Obviously, it could go faster if he had more funding, and but that's not the case right now. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I believe in this project so wholeheartedly, right? So to the point where it can be an issue. That's why I like coming on here and talking with you, because I want to talk to it, but with it other people, they get sick of hearing about it. Right?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so it's a nice outlet to be able to discuss it.
Perhaps the only outlet, because it's so deep down the rabbit hole, right? Like unless you have others who understand the kind of niche we're in, you're just yelling it down a hallway, kind of like a long empty hallway.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of discontent out there, in the Twitter sphere, right? With a lot of people, I think a lot of project members, and I get it, right? You gotta make money somehow, right? And you're basically bootstrapping at this point if you're building, and you probably you're working another job and then doing this on the side, but you're gonna come out stronger, right? Especially if this project makes it, right? So
that's the hope, right? Like that's the hope. And John Head of Growth says all the time, either we're gonna make it or die trying. Period.
Exactly. That's right. And if that's your mentality, do whatever it takes, never quit, then you have a very good chance of success. 'Cause
Absolutely.
that's what it takes, right?
Absolutely. I just am so hopeful that we catch that little glimmer of that, and we can reach that critical mass of good news and infra that it just shuts up a lot of the baseless FUD that exists only because there's a vacuum at the moment, right? Like there's enough projects, there's enough interest, there's enough liquidity that one voice or a few voices don't dominate a timeline with their negativity, almost baseless negativity, right?
Yeah.
That's the hope.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun to see Bitcoining, which actually his name actually does translate to Bitcoin King.
Oh, nice.
I called him Bit King, I think, last time.
Perfect.
And it's interesting just to see kind of I don't know if he had been aware of LUKSO, but it kind of seemed like he was just getting into it from what I could see on his videos and everything. And I think we'll start to see more of that, just because LUKSO does bring something really cool, and then you've got so many community members that are just willing to jump in there and be like, 'cause everyone's just starving for some attention, right? So if you're a content creator and you're wanting to come to support the project, you're going to get a lot of support from the community.
For sure.
Yeah, so hopefully we get to see more of that.
Yep. And we'll do our job when we're in Denver, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Put more content out there.
yeah, for sure.
All right. We've been going, this is almost 3 hours and 30 minutes. This is like Joe Rogan right now, except I'm not drinking whiskey and it's in the morning and I haven't eaten yet today. So, all right, Dan. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Denver, and we'll get to. I always feel better after meeting with the actual LUKSO project team in real life. You realize just how hard they're working, and honestly, the real optimism that surrounds the project in the crypto space. It's almost like it's unfair that the retail average normie can be so negative, because when you actually see how this team is perceived, their interconnectedness in this space, it the negativity is not reflective of the reality on the ground. So like I hope you get to experience that in Denver. Like these are really awesome people working super hard that are really well connected, and there's a lot to be optimistic about. We just need the bridge online.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for bringing me on.
All right, homie. Well, we'll catch up soon.
All right, have a good one.
All right, later on. All right, and I'm going to throw up the end screen so everybody knows. Thank you so much, everybody, and we're going to feed the ducks.